Let's get this started. Let's get started.
Okay, good evening and welcome to the April 7, 2014 Hillsborough Township Board of Education meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. In accordance with the State Sunshine Law of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting of the Hillsborough Township Board of Education was provided on April 3, 2014 to the Hillsborough Beacon and Courier News. May I have a roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood?
Surely. Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Here.
Ms. Santafonte?
Here.
Mr. Dutta?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Here.
Mrs. Haas?
Here.
Mrs. Haley?
Here.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Here.
Ms. Wasson?
Here.
And Mr. Kitts?
Here.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. We're all here. If we can rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's my favorite part of the meeting. Okay, we have correspondence as is listed in the agenda, and I'll hand it over to Dr. Schiff for the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Kins. We're very excited to have Woodfern fourth grade students here tonight who will be sharing their research on various water topics as part of their unit on the study of water. And I'd like to introduce the principal of Woodfern, Mr. Carrigan. Mr. Carrigan.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. I want to give a very, very brief introduction because I want to make sure that all the fun stuff, I don't give anything away. Our fourth graders worked extremely hard on a water unit doing a lot of very, very exciting things, and the way they compiled everything, I think you'll be very impressed. And so without any further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Lozano. He's going to lead us through everything. Mr. Lozano.
Can I patch in? Okay. Pull it up on the screen, is that okay?
Okay, sure.
Can you see that?
I can read the numbers off for you if you'd like.
Thanks.
Okay, it's 172, 17, 5, 254, and then 5494.
All right, so for our water unit as a culminating project, we, after had completed the different experiments, had gone through our research, each group of kids were put into smaller sections, and then they continued their research, and they each created a separate water page on the class water website. I'm going to have the students come up to explain exactly what they did. I'll scroll through it as they go so you can get an idea of what they came up with. So, thanks.
Hi, my name is Reese Wolf. When we were researching, we used SweetSearch, World Book Online, FactHound, and our textbooks to find information. We also used videos and experiment sheets to help us use to get more information. When we were fact-checking, we had to reread to make sure it made sense. Once we thought it was good and made sense, we had a teacher check with Mr. Lozano so he can make sure it was 100% awesome.
Hi, I'm Paul Fedora. We paraphrased by putting info we found into our own words. We also used quotations if we wanted to use a fact that was so perfect we couldn't put it in our own words. Mr. Lozano told us not to plagiarize or we would have to start over. Before typing, we wrote our facts on sticky notes. We then typed our fact on a Google Doc made especially for our website. After typing, we had Mr. Lozano check for mistakes and spelling errors.
Hi, my name is Joshua Warman.
We found interesting photos with Mrs. Lozano that went with our topics. We found the photos we put the photos on the webpage for people to view. Some groups made questions or a quiz to test the reader.
Hi, my name's Nina Patel. We put the website on the board so the whole class could see the work we did. The groups taught the class about the research and how they got their research for their topic. One reason we shared was to practice speaking in front of a group and not get nervous. When we were done with everything, we all typed on a Google Docs about what we learned. A lot of people thought this project was new and unique. Some people struggled working together, but everyone thought it was a fun and cool project in the end.
And I would invite anybody who wants to take a closer look. Our water website's up on our class website, and that's it. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much to all of our fourth graders from Woodfern. Very good job. We also have visitors tonight from Hillsborough Elementary School. Our third graders will share a Google presentation within their classroom. Principal of Hillsborough Elementary School is here. Welcome, Mr. Volpe.
Thank you. And congratulations to all the hard work you did at Woodfern, students. Very impressive. I would like to first give a little bit of context before I turn it over to my teacher, Ms. Gradone. And if you can just imagine for a second or two, I'm thinking back to many years ago, although still in the 21st century, I was pursuing finishing my master's degree. And one of the last classes that I had to take was called Technology and Education. So what seems just like a few years ago for me, but for the children behind me is literally a lifetime ago. One of the final things that we learned in that class was this new program called PowerPoint. And we learned how to make PowerPoints in a master's degree level class where we could then make presentations. And I think fast forwarding in my life to just a few years later, what was a master's degree level course not too long ago is being way outshined by what we are doing in our third grade classrooms with some of our Google technology. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce, in case you don't recognize her, the star of the Google Play for Education website, and one of my third grade teachers, Ms. Danielle Gradone, who will introduce the class.
Good evening, everyone. As you know, our journey kind of began back in October when Google decided to take over our school and film our classroom using education. We had no idea that it was going to be a film crew, but these guys enjoyed it, and from that moment on, they kind of had this internal instinct to use technology all the time. So it's become part of our daily lives and our routine in the day. So we're going to be presenting to you guys something that we've been working on. They've learned how to use Google presentations, and what you're seeing right now was my model to them. And they had to create an expert topic. So we are learning about nonfiction writing and something that they felt they were experts on. We all decided, Ms. Gradone, she's an expert on technology, so that should be her presentation. I modeled the presentation for them. We learned about nonfiction text features, captions and glossary, important words, titles, and bold text, and they were able to use my model to kind of create their own. So we couldn't show you everything this evening, but we're going to show you one at the end. First, we're going to take you on our little journey of technology so far. Is this dropping? And as you see right now, you're going to look at my presentation, and when we go back to show the children, it's going to look very similar. So we talked about adding a dedication page, table of contents, and then we started with our subtopics. And one of my subtopics was the best apps out there that we use in our classroom every single day. So I'm going to bring over some children to talk to you a little bit about two of these apps that we use on a daily basis and how they use them at home and not only at school. So let's have our first friends. Caitlin. This is Caitlin and Seth.
Hello, my name is Caitlin, and I will be talking about ScootPad. ScootPad is one website and app that you can use for math, reading, and you can even use a reading log. You can do homework on it. You can do many things, and you can also get rewards to do other things, and it's just really fun to use ScoopPad.
Hi, I'm Seth. Caitlin said there's education, but there's also fun things like games and chatting with other classmates on the class wall and giving them shout-outs. And you can also, as Caitlin was saying, as the rewards, you can redeem them. One of them, for example, is Music Maestro. At the end of the day, you get to choose a song when you sit at the carpet. And one of the class's favorites is Dinner Out, where you get to take Miss Gordone out for pizza at Angelo's Pizza.
The point is they have to earn enough coins to go out to dinner or to be Music Maestro. And that in order to get the coins, you have to practice reading or math or spelling on ScoopPad. The next one they're going to talk about is Raz Kids, really briefly.
Hi, my name is Bhavya. I'd like to talk about Raz Kids today. So Raz Kids is basically a reading app. You read on different levels in different books. There are many different kinds of books, such as nonfiction, fiction, and biographies.
Raz Kids quizzes help us remember what we learned in this story.
Good. So she's saying along with every book there's a quiz you can take, and it helps you remember what you learned in the story. Want to say it?
Hi, my name is Anastasia Ramirez. I'm here to talk about Chromebooks and Nexus 7 tablets. I'll start with Chromebooks. Chromebooks allow children like me to get comfortable with typing. They will get comfortable because one of the apps we use is called Typing Club. It allows all children to get comfortable with typing in home row. Now I will talk about Nexus 7 tablets. Those allow us to practice cursive. And have fun while learning many things. One other app we use on the tablet is a math app called Multiplication. It's a game where you unlock gorillas. The gorillas are adorable. Thank you.
As we had here, this was my third subtopic. So every day I'd model a different subtopic for the children to teach them how to do the typing, write in paragraph form, add captions to your pictures, and sometimes have one text box or two text boxes or a table with 3 text boxes. And this presentation would stay on the board during writing each day, and the children would be able to come up to the board with a little magic stick and move it from slide to slide to learn what I was doing and how they can do different things on their own Chromebooks and in their presentations. So we can't share all of their presentations that they made or we'd be here for days. So we've all voted on one to share. And we chose our student, Max Cooper, and he said he's an expert on puppeteers, which was a very interesting topic, and he engaged us the entire time. So we all voted that it would be appropriate to share. So a lot of my class is here tonight, so they're going to take turns reading a little bit from Max's presentation. So this is one a student actually made.
The World of Puppeteers, written by Max Cooper, with Kevin Clash, Jim Henson, and Tony Sarge. Dedication page. I dedicate this book to my mom. My mom helped me. Oh.
Table of contents. dedication page, introduction, Jim Henson, Kevin Clash, Tony Sarge, conclusion, glossary, all about the author. A puppeteer is a person who controls the puppet. Jim Henson, Kevin Clash, and Tony Sarge are famous puppeteers. A puppet is thought to be the animated version of the puppeteer. You will learn about these three puppeteers in this presentation.
This is Max Cooper, by the way.
That's Comet that Jim Henson created and is a puppeteer for, and Comet leads to many other Muppets that Jim Henson created. I'm Olivia Sawinski, and I'm going to talk about Jim Henson. You might know Jim Henson by many of his puppets, from Oscar the Grouch to Kermit to the Fraggles. He was the creator and puppeteer of these Muppets and many more. He created a special type of puppet called a Muppet. Plus, he wrote and directed movies and TV shows starring these Muppets. We owe many of these familiar Muppets to Jim Henson. He is probably the most famous puppeteer, and he won many Emmy Awards. Sadly, he died very suddenly and very young, at the age of 53. The Jim Henson Company, which is started, lives on today. This is Elmo, and that Kevin Clash is puppeteered for. First, Kevin Clash and puppeteer Elmo, it was a different person, and Elmo wasn't that lovable. But then, when Kevin Clash came along and puppeteered Elmo, Elmo became more lovable. Kevin Clash. Kevin Clash is most famous for puppeteering Elmo from Sesame Street. He began performing puppets at a young age and had a TV show when he was a teenager. It was always Kevin's dream to be part of Sesame Street. You may know him from the award-winning documentary Being Elmo. It is the story of Kevin, the man behind the puppet heart and soul of Elmo. Click here to watch the trailer.
We're not going to watch the trailer, but you should all go see the movie. It is, we watched the trailer and no one in the class had known about it before Max introduced it to us, and it was very interesting to see, so I recommend it.
This is a big balloon from the Macy's Day Parade that Tony Sarge had created. Tony Sarge also created robots in the windows so that you might see in stores and restaurants. Tony Sarge is known for inventing the balloons that are featured in the Macy's Day Parade. At a very young age, he incorporated strings into his inventions and built marionettes. He was hired by Macy's to design the store's window displays. In his job, he created robots used in windows that are still used today. These robots and his marionettes led him to create the famous parade balloons. Conclusion. Now you know that puppeteers are interesting people. Jim, Kevin, and Tony were all alike, but also different. They were all passionate about puppetry, but had different styles to create and controlling their puppets. That's the words. Glossary. Animated, creator, documentary, marionette, Muppet, passionate, trailer. About the author. Max Cooper was born on November 24, 2004. He is in 3rd grade at Hillsborough Elementary School. He lives at home with his mom, his dad, and 2 younger brothers, Leo and Fred. This is Max's third slideshow. His previous slideshows were on Jeremy Lin and the Midwest. He is excited to share his love of puppets in this presentation.
They did a great job. They also earlier this year did presentations in groups on the different regions of the country, which is why you see the Midwest up there. But throughout this unit, they learned about nonfiction text features and titles, and as you can see, the beautiful transitions between slides, and I'm very proud of all their hard work. They really took it upon themselves to go above and beyond.
Just as one final comment, I want to say that to keep in mind, after some excellent instruction, this is totally student generated. All of the research, all of the pictures, the program, the animation, it's all done by them. And this is far advanced of what I was doing in my master's program. I just want you to keep in mind that these are third grade students. Imagine what they're going to be doing in their master's program someday. You guys are doing a great job. I'm very proud of you.
Great work, kids. And Max, thanks for sharing that with us.
Let's give another big round of applause for our third graders from HES and our fourth graders from Woodford. Thank you so much. I asked the board for a 5-minute brief recess so our students can head on back home and finish up their homework.
We're going to take a 5-minute recess. Thank you. All right, we're back from recess. Continuing on with the superintendent's report, Dr. Schiff.
Thank you, Mr. Kintz. I have another piece of great news to share with the community and the board. This evening, I'm excited to announce that 2 Hillsborough High School athletic coaches were inducted into the New Jersey Scholastic Coaches Association Hall of Fame for the class of 2014. Congratulations to Stephen Molinaro, coach of the wrestling team, and Beth Murrin, coach of both gymnastics and lacrosse teams. We are very excited and proud of their successes, and that's all I have tonight.
Just looking in the audience, do we have any Team 75 Robo Raiders? Okay, I won't steal your thunder. When we get to the public comment, we'll ask you to come up and share the good news with that. First, we're going to do approval of the minutes. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the March 24th, 2014 executive session minutes.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Dana heard Lorraine.
I heard Dana.
Okay, Dana. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? I'm abstaining.
Got it.
And
Yeah, you got it. Thank you.
okay, motion passes.
Motion passes.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the March 24th, 2014 public session minutes.
So moved.
Lorraine. Second.
Chris?
Gotcha. Gotcha.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Abstained.
You do and Deb?
Yep.
Gotcha. Motion passes.
Motion passes. Continuing on with the committee reports. And we do have reports from everybody, right? Okay, we'll start with HR.
Yeah.
Mr. Pulsifer.
The Human Resources Committee meeting was held last Thursday night. We had a very extended discussion of the upcoming budget and different areas where we would consider cuts or wanted to hold certain programs in place, and that information has been forwarded to the other committee chairs as we try to get to a consensus on the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Pulsifer. Operations Committee? Mr. Gillette.
Thank you, Mr. President. Operations Committee met last week. We had 3 items on the agenda. We discussed the budget, similar to what Mr. Pulsifer reported for his committee. We discussed an item that's on tonight's agenda, which is the renewal, the contractual renewal, well, that's going to sound redundant, the renewal of the, automatic renewal of the transportation contracts that we do every year, and that's on tonight's agenda. And the third item was Mr. Mahmood reported that he's putting together a letter seeking proposals, exploratory proposals, I could say, for the before and after school care going forward. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gillette. And Education Committee, Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
The Education Committee met on March 31st, and we discussed basically two items, the first being the budget. And the major initiative for the Education Committee in the budget is the one-to-one technology initiative. And we spent time reviewing various different scenarios for implementation. The other thing that I'm very proud to say we discussed was the mathematics interventions that we're doing in Algebra 1. Basically, we started this program last year to take care of kids who weren't doing well in algebra. And it was a two-pronged program. One part was to create a double period of algebra for those who needed it. And the second part was to create lunchtime interventions so that, lunchtime support, so that kids who needed additional help could utilize their lunch hour and meet with a variety of teachers who were scheduled to work with them over the lunch hours and get more mathematics support. Well, the very good news is that our kids in these classes did very, very well. That in prior years, where the mean score for students who would have been enrolled would not have been passing, are now receiving a mean score of 77.2. So we're very, very happy that it appears to be a very successful program, and we hope to continue it again. That's it for education.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Haas. Another, I guess, an ad hoc committee that we had just this evening was a committee of the chairs. So throughout, as you heard from the different reports, each of the committees, the budget was a large item of discussion, and as an effort to try to come to a budget to finalize that we will be doing at the end of April, 3 weeks from today. We're trying to find areas where there's commonality among the board and alignment among the board. So each of the committees had stated what their prioritizations were, what their preferences were, what areas that should not be considered. And then in an effort to continue those discussions, they had what's called a committee of the chairs, in which each of the three standing committees, education, human resources, and operations, met along with myself to try to continue moving the ball forward. There are some areas of alignment. Those are included areas of reduction of supply accounts, instead of purchasing vehicles that are required for maintenance and also for snow plows, to have a lease purchase as opposed to a full-up purchase, so that we can amortize the cost over a number of years for more consistent planning. We looked at various rates of privatization. It's not off the table. It's a number of different committees and members had stated that there are different levels of support or non-support for those aspects. So we're going to continue over the next 3 weeks to continue working on the budget. Again, we have a lot of areas that we're trying to grow this budget. The budget that we have was presented at the tentative budget is a growth budget. It increases the overall budget by $3 million, which is a 2.79% increase in the budget. And it also, in order to obtain that level, it increases the tax levy by $3.5 million, which is a 4.32% increase in the municipal tax levy. So we're continuing there. There are differing opinions in terms of how much of implementing the strategic plans with regard to the one-to-one initiative, world languages, technology, STEM, different levels of how much to tax the community in order to fund those initiatives, and what other areas there are that could be used in terms of managing costs. So I just wanted to report that out, and we will continue it again, so we will have the final budget on the 28th, sorry. Okay. Now, I'd like to open the comments to the public. And this will include new business, public input on the 2014-15 budget, and the action agenda. What I'd ask is that there's a lot of people, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of public input. If we could be courteous of each other's time and try to speak on items that are different. If we get to an hour of public comment, then we will have to start limiting the amount of time that each person can speak. And then also, if there's on a common topic, we'll ask that separate topics be taken up front. So handing off, it looks like we've got a representative from Team 75 Robo Raiders. We'll start off on a good note.
Thank you, Mr. Kinst. So I'll try to keep this brief because it appears that sea of blue behind me is eager to put some public input in. All right, so not this past weekend, but 2 weekends ago, the Team 75 Robo Raiders competed at the Bridgewater-Raritan District Competition. Going into this event, our team had met quite some success through our robot by winning the Mount Olive District level competition. So we were hoping to do well enough at this event to qualify for the Mid-Atlantic Regional, which would encompass teams from Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware. At this event, during the qualification matches, our team shined by going 9-3 in the qualification matches, placing us in the 2nd seed in the entire tournament, making us the captain of the 2nd-seeded alliance for eliminations. With this, we picked teams 2180 and 4230 to help us in our alliance in the goal of winning the entire Champions Award. Although we fell short of this by getting knocked out in the first round of elimination matches, our team still cheered on even after the results of the final match were posted, showing our commitment to our team's success. But the day was not aught for naught. We did win the Chairman's Award, first most prestigious award given out at all competitions, which recognizes a team's ability to spread STEM and give back to the community they belong to. We are very proud to win this award, and with this, our team has won the trifecta of first 3 most prestigious awards at the district level: the Chairman's Award, the Engineering Inspirations Award, and the Champions Award. We now go into the Mid-Atlantic Regional this upcoming Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at Lehigh, and we hope to do well enough to qualify for first nationals in St. Louis. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Thank you. Real quick, I was there for a short period of time. I saw the final event, and from an engineering perspective, the competition it was quite remarkable. It looked like robo-sports. I mean, you had team members, actual robots from different teams that were passing balls to each other and over into different color-coded areas. And while I was sitting with the Team 75, I don't know how many people recognize me. I was incognito with my kids. But what really struck me, and again, congratulations on the Chairman Award, was while the awards were going on, the sportsmanship for Team 75 for the Robo Raiders unsurpassed. Every single time somebody won an award, they were up, clapping, cheering. There were awards for rookie teams. They were up there, standing, cheering during the breaks. They had, spirit events with the folks across the way. So again, not only on the technical side and the competition, but also the sportsmanship that they exhibited throughout that day. Again, unparalleled. So, thank you. Yep.
I can tell you, my name is Kitty Ward. I'm a teacher of writing at Hillsborough Elementary and the secretary of the Hillsborough Education Association. On a personal note, though, I am a mentor for a little high school in Hunterdon County, Hunterdon Central, robotic team. And I can tell you that we had the pleasure of not only being on an alliance where we scored the highest score that we had, we were also then competing with Team 75, and I can assure you that I would rather be aligned with Team 75 than competing with Team 75. And it also speaks to not only the sportsmanship that they showed in the at the competition, but if you go back to what they call the pit area, where everybody gathers and works on their robots, you can see this sea of red in everybody's pit. And they're there, you know, helping. Somebody's robot loses a part, they're there to help them. So they really are a great team. So, on with the show. I would like to talk today about the issues of privatization, and I'm going to speak specifically about privatization of our substitutes and our long-term subs. We did a recent survey of our members, which revealed that 48% of the respondents were long-term subs prior to being employed by Hillsborough. 81% of the staff who started out as long-term subs have been with the district for more than 4 years. In fact, 55% have been here for more than 10. These numbers tell a very powerful story. The Hillsborough Township school system is comprised of a close-knit family where almost 50% of our staff are tax-paying residents. An overwhelming number of people live here, raise children here, and begin their careers here. They have a vested personal interest in the excellence of our schools, something the administration and the Board of Education used to and hopefully still take pride in. 12 years ago this month, I began my proud career in Hillsborough as a long-term substitute for a first-grade class at Sunnymead School. My lengthy hiring process began in February when I interviewed with the Assistant Superintendent of Personnel and the Principal of Sunnymead. I was sent to the Hillsborough Police Department to be fingerprinted, had a background check, and submitted a physician's note proving I had a recent negative tuberculosis titer. The district paid for 1 day of shadowing the classroom teacher. I came in every day for a week because it was important to me to know and understand all the routines that this group of 6-year-olds had come to expect. I created and submitted lesson plans, assessed and completed report cards, conferenced with parents, accompanied the students on a field trip to the zoo, kept them safe at field day, made placement recommendations for the following year, and cleaned and packed up the classroom for the summer. For me, this wasn't a temp job until something better came along. This was my foot in the door, my chance to prove to Hillsborough that I would be an asset to the district. My dedication paid off. I was hired at Hillsborough Elementary the following fall, and I am proud to be part of a quality-driven school district. My story is not unique. You will hear from many people who were either long-term substitutes themselves or have had the pleasure of working with long-term substitutes. Why would the district want to place limits on what has proven to be a successful recruitment plan? How can we consider allowing an outside company make decisions about who takes over in the classrooms of our tiniest primary students, our impressionable middle school students, or our college-bound high school students? Are principals and administrators comfortable with giving up control on the teaching staff being sent into their schools? Will they be able to interview and accept or reject applicants? Will a temp agency substitute be as dedicated as I and 48% of my colleagues were? Currently, a New Jersey statute protects districts from certificated staff ceasing to perform their duties before the expiration of terms set in their contract. The Hillsborough contract, which our long-term subs are part of, requires a 60-day notice to leave. This law does not protect the district of certificated teachers employed by a temp agency. What will happen when a temp agency teacher finds a permanent employment elsewhere? Will leaves of absences be met with a revolving door of long-term subs? Additionally, temp agencies or contracting firms typically charge the employers a hefty recruitment fee or penalty should they want to hire the temp as a permanent employee. What will happen if mid-school year, the long-term position becomes permanent? Are we prepared to pay those hefty fees, or will we subject the students to yet another new person to fill the position? Hillsborough has a proven track record with quality long-term substitutes who go on to become valued members of our teaching staff. Let's not take a chance with a temp agency who we know little about. Let's keep control of our hiring practices and keep strangers out of our schools. Every child deserves to have a teacher who is dedicated and vested in our community. Please take privatization out of the budget debate. After all, we are all Hillsborough.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Amy Salinger. I teach at Alton Road Intermediate School, and I'm the treasurer of the HEA. March 2nd of this year marked my 16-year anniversary in Hillsborough, and I too began as a long-term substitute and went through the same rigor as my esteemed colleague Kitty Ward did. I started my career here as a long-term substitute, and what started out as a temporary position turned into a 16-year career with many more ahead. When I was out on maternity leave both times, I left knowing my students were in capable hands because I trusted Hillsborough to hire a quality long-term substitute, and they did, both times. My students continued to strive, and it was because I knew Hillsborough had hired a quality candidate to take my place. I don't know what type of experience my students would have had if the substitute had been randomly placed by a service. I urge you not to privatize Hillsborough substitutes or the evening custodial staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Carmela Serace, and I'm a parent of 3 children currently in the Hillsborough school system, with my oldest being a senior and my youngest in Alton Road. My children started out at Sunnymead, and I saw a number of teachers become pregnant, and I was confident knowing that the substitutes placed were competent and qualified. I never felt that my children were ever in a vulnerable situation. And I really feel that privatizing is removing the accountability that we entrust on the board, ensuring that we have the right people in our school system. As with any business for profit, a privatized service company's priority is to optimize profit. And in maximizing profit, I ask you, at what cost? What kind of corners will they cut? Who will be attracted to low-paying jobs, and how long will they stay? What kind of continuity are we going to have in the classroom? Many of the subs in our school system are former teachers or graduates, and they're certified. With our current system, also our custodial staff is part of our school family. They are familiar faces, and when our teachers are not around and there's events in the evening, our custodial staff is around, and knowing their faces, I know that my children are also safe. You are asking us to entrust in a company to supply subs who will be alone in a classroom, that we don't know their backgrounds, we don't know how long they'll stay. Why is cost saving more important to the Board of Ed than who will be in our children's company? Less is rarely the same. These positions play an important part in our schools. We often cannot appreciate something until it's gone, and I ask you, do not allow this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Serace.
My name is Liz Scriver. I'm an academic support instructor at HES. Joining me at the podium tonight are Marian Salvatore and Mary Whitty, both academic support instructors at HES as well. We are here this evening to show our support for our nighttime custodial staff. Mr. John has been with us for 8 years, and Miss Maria has been with us for 3 years. They are career-minded people who treat our building, staff, and our children with respect and caring. John has created a living, learning environment in our main foyer with a beautiful fish tank on display. During the course of a busy day, students and staff can stop for a moment, admire and explore the wonderful world of fish. Maria is always available with a warm smile and helpful disposition. Both John and Maria take great pride in the jobs they do at HES. The students, staff, and parents know our custodians by name and can count on them when help is needed. Let's hold on to our dedicated, career-minded, and trustworthy staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could, before you begin, Robin, just for a moment.
Yes.
There were some statements that were made before that that I'd like to clarify. Any long-term sub that would be put into any classroom in Hillsborough, if the board chooses to privatize, would need to be approved prior by administration. No teacher would be with kids unless they are approved by administration. So it is not, we do not abdicate our right and our authority to say, no, this person is not up to our standards. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay. My name is Robin DeVinson, 721 DeCamp Drive. I've been teaching in this district for 29 years. I am standing here today as a proud representative of two of our valued Sunnymead employees, Christina and Josefa. It saddens me that the board is even considering privatization of our custodial staff and our daily and long-term substitutes. These two nighttime custodians have worked over 10 years in our district. These two colleagues are not strangers. They are our friends that we trust to be with us when staff work after hours and when our aftercare students are in our care. To think their jobs will be given away in an outside company by strangers that are low-wage, transient workers who are not committed to the job or to our school is completely ludicrous. Christina and Josefa are both hardworking, dedicated, and important members of our community. They and their families deserve more from this board. You need to develop a budget that will not affect the security of our schools and the safety of our children and staff. We should not compromise quality over outsourced workers who are not committed to us. I am a taxpayer, and the suggestion that privatization will save me money is simply not true. There are no cost savings for the taxpayers. Have we not learned from the bus fiasco this year when we tried to save money by using a bus company that was more cost-effective, but compromised the safety of our children? There was a child that was sent to Manville, and one of my teacher's children was across Hillsborough, and she had to call him on the cell phone. That's how bad it was. Security should be our first priority, and if we privatize substitutes and custodians, we put all our children at risk. Say no to privatization.
Thank you.
Good evening. Sylvia Scazzari, Auten Road Intermediate School. If everybody from Auten Road, just please stand. Thank you. Not to, just to reiterate what all of my other colleagues have said before, again, these are not nameless, faceless people. These are people, the night custodians are people that are a part of our school community. They come to our baby showers. They come to our retirement parties. They are not, I talk to them every day, the ones that are at my end of the building. You know, we play the lottery together. That really hasn't worked out for us, but that's why we're here. But, you know, so they're just not, they're not nameless people. I'll let you know when that does happen. So, but again, they are part of our school community. We value them. They do a great job. And I just the other day, I did something in my class, my iPad, and I left it in the gym. And I thought to myself, there is no way that I'm getting that iPad back. And the next morning, it was on my desk because the night custodian knew it was mine, saw it, put it on my desk. It was safekeeping. Do you really think that I would have got that iPad back had we have a private company come in? I don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board. My name is Sue DeCenzo, lifelong resident of Hillsborough, 23 years in the district. The Woods Road School family would like to tell you a bit about our two nighttime custodians, Ty and Andy. We are proud to have them on our team at Woods Road School. They are dedicated and hardworking members of the Woods Road School family. The staff and the students know and appreciate these two team members. Ty is a quiet, hardworking person. She is always very grateful for kind words and praise. When given accolades, Ty is always proud of her work and responds with a thank you. Andy, only 3 years in the district, who would be one of the first to go, is another hardworking member of our team. Andy goes out of his way to help at school. If Andy sees a staff member carrying a box down the hallway, he's quick to grab it and carry it, even if that help is not requested. When giving Andy thanks for his help, he responds, "No problem. That's my job." He takes great pride in all that he does. Tonight, we stand before you and ask you to keep strangers out of our schools and to keep the dedicated, hardworking members that are a part of the Woods Road School family and the Hillsborough School District, all of them out there. Andy and Ty could not be here tonight to represent themselves because they are busy cleaning our schools and keeping watch over the second home of staff and students. We are asking you, the board, to value the keepers of the gate. Do not allow strangers into our schools. Keep the hardworking, dedicated staff that we have. They deserve the positions they have. Woods Road School says thank you. Ty says thank you. And Andy says, "It's my job."
Thank you.
Thank you, staff. Now I want to come up and speak to you not as a staff member, but as a lifelong resident, a taxpayer, and a mother of 2 boys in this school system. I have stood before this board before talking about how sad I feel about the changes in our district. You may remember me as the Cupcake Crusader. But tonight, board, I stand before you not sad, but frightened. Frightened that this Board of Education would give up the right to hand select the dedicated staff that works with our most precious commodity, the children. My sister works for IBM, but it's outsourced for an AT&T account. Or I don't know, is that the other way around? She works for AT&T and she's outsourced for IBM account. I guess it really doesn't matter. She does an amazing job, but she's in the business of working with data. She, like many people, actually work from home. Board of Education, our students are not data. They should not be outsourced to an unknown. As a taxpayer, I want to know that the board has not cut costs when hiring the people that will be in daily contact with my children. I want the best money can buy. If the board needs to cut money from the budget, then might I suggest you make cuts in technology and not staff. True. My children can do without a personal handheld device or the latest notebook. They cannot do without substitute teachers and custodial staff that are knowledgeable, dedicated, caring, and trustworthy. Remember, board, you get what you pay for. Please Google some of the sources that are being sources for teacher. Google some of these names. Woodbridge, Wayne, Washington, I'm sure we could go on, have said no to privatization. Check it out. Reddington, I'll go on and on. I ask you to restore my faith in this school district tonight. And if you cannot do that, I remain frightened for the future of this district and the students within it. Do not privatize. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michelle Wetzel, Bloomingdale Drive. I'm a teacher and a parent and a taxpayer. First, I'm going to speak to you about the importance of quality long-term subs. I have a daughter. She is 2 years old and 4 months. But what you guys may not realize about all of us is I have 122 other people that I consider my kids. And when I go out for a maternity leave or I go out for a surgery, I felt guilty. I felt guilty leaving them. I wanted to know that they had a quality, competent, enthusiastic, driven teacher to take my place. And I made sure to leave a binder that was this thick with lesson plans. All you had to do was flip the page. That's how much I care about my kids having a good education, not just my biological child, all the children, okay? Long-term subs, who are they? They are new teachers, enthusiastic new teachers seeking opportunity. They want to do a good job. They're going to devote themselves to this job. Or they're retirees with a wealth of knowledge and expertise, and they just want to get back in the classroom and reestablish those bonds. Those are our long-term subs. These are the people that are important. Dr. Schiff, you said that the administrators would have an opportunity to say yes or no to a candidate. But what about the quality of the pool? Who are you going to attract with low pay and poor benefits? So we can say no to a bad choice, or a worse choice, or an even worse choice. So what I'm saying is poor pay, poor benefits, maybe they weren't certified in New Jersey, not good enough for my kids.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm also here representing the staff of Hillsborough High School. Stand up. We want to recognize our dedicated custodians, and I'm actually going to start by telling an anecdote. While you're wondering, I have a retro Good Morning mug with me. This mug is often left on my desk, dirty. And there's probably 2 people in the world that would take my mug, clean it, and put it back. My mom, there's one. My husband, he actually does stuff like this. My brothers, not gonna happen. But Myra, our custodian, cleans my mug when I forget to. You know what kind of people do that? Family. Family. She's part of my family. She cleans my mug. And look at all the other members of our family. And you know what? She's not the only one. We have mug anecdotes all over the building. So my coworkers are going to introduce our faithful, loyal custodians. And another thing I want to point out is I'm involved with the National Honor Society, and we encourage our kids to show character, leadership, and service. Are we setting the right example for our students by letting go members of our family, the people who need those jobs? Just think about who you're cutting before you do that.
The custodians that we're most concerned about, of course, are our building. That would be Stan. He's been with us 17 years. Charles, 3 years. Stanley, 1 year. Myra, 5 years. And Sophia, 13 years.
And because the high school is so large, we have Graznia, who's with us 6 years, Grace, 2 years, Maria, 15 years, Anna, 8 years, Graciela, 5 years, and Andrew, 3 years. I think one thing it's really important to note as a teacher in the high school and a taxpayer is that we are a very large building. Not unlike the other buildings, they have night functions, but the high school has a tremendous amount of night contact with students. As a parent, as a teacher, I have to say I have concerns about that kind of contact if it's privatized. And finally, I'd just like to say, although we just finished negotiating a contract which included all of us, and as a community, and it may be in the law that we can go back and make different decisions, but I have to ask as Hillsborough, is this the way we want to treat our employees? I don't think so. I think we're better than that. And I think we owe it to the people that work so hard for us to think of another way to make this work.
Thank you.
Hi, Mary Beth DeLisi, Stats Drive. I've been a teacher here for 8 years. I'm here to speak out against the privatization of Hillsborough's substitutes and nighttime custodial staff. As a parent in this district, I am concerned for the safety of my own children and the children whom I teach, as well as the conditions of our schools if privatization occurs. And frankly, as an HEA member, as Roberta said, I'm sorely disappointed that we negotiated in good faith with the board and worked under an expired agreement for months, only to discover that this negotiation means little now to board members regarding next year's budget. Outsourcing services may seem to be fiscally responsible, but this board must weigh all the direct and indirect advantages and disadvantages before deciding to privatize. Although private contractors nearly always promise cost savings, these savings are often illusory. Bids often don't take into account the costs involved, and contractors may lowball initial bids to win a contract, with costs rising significantly as time goes on. And there's more to the work of our custodians and substitutes than just costs. The quality of education can be at risk. You must also consider the ways in which outsourcing will impact the wider community. The practice of offering low wages is typical and very problematic. Veteran school employees often are forced to accept decreased wages with the outside firm or seek employment elsewhere. If this occurs, our community will take an economic hit. For more than 75% of education support professionals typically live in the communities where they work. Local businesses will lose customers, and it's a chain reaction. In short, we can't get the same for less. Privatization equals a cut in services for the schools, a cut in benefits and wages for the employees, and a risk to safety for students and families. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sheena Kay, and this is Joanne Getz. We're here to represent the middle school family. We're here on behalf of our nighttime custodians who obviously were not able to be with us tonight because they are home cleaning our school. We would like to introduce you to them, though, so you know a little bit about them. We have Bronek Pamieta, who has been with us for, I'm not even going to tell you, 19 years. Altogether, all 9 of these people have had more than 70 years experience in our district taking care of our schools. They've become part of our family. We have Joe, who has been a student in Hillsborough. He's gone through the school system, and he's currently working in our building. We have Donna and her husband, who is also a custodian in the building. Both of them work for Hillsborough. They are carrying benefits, and if they lose their job, they lose their benefits, both of them. They don't have someone else to rely on because they both have given their dedication and service to Hillsborough. We also have Andrew Paluchniak, and his wife Sophie works in another building. There's another couple who has 2 children. They're trying to put one through college right now, and they would lose their benefits and struggle financially to put their children through school if they were to both lose their jobs because of privatization. Donna has been with us for 19 years. We have Marta has been here for 3 years and has been doing a great job at our school. Benny, Marta, Eva, and Jose, all of them have become part of our family. And I think what's most disturbing to me is that for years, Hillsborough has always opened up our first days of school and ended our days of school and all meetings in between about what a great family we are and welcome to the Hillsborough family. And now here we are looking to cut some of our family's livelihood, leaving them in financial straits, impacting their children and their children's futures because they're in jeopardy of losing their positions. So I urge you to vote down the privatization. It's not worth it. It's not right.
Thank you.
Good evening, Maria DeLucia, 122 South Triangle Road. I'm also second vice president of the HEA. As you all know, I've been having a lot of trouble sleeping this year. I wish that I could go to sleep and dream, but instead I continue to lay awake and worry about what is happening to this district, and it is now becoming a nightmare. This is my 14th year working for the Hillsborough School District, and for most of these years I've been quite proud to work here. This has been a district that valued people, not statistics, people, not technology, people. Hillsborough valued the students attending our schools and has made proposals and decisions on what was best for them, including their safety, and no more. Hillsborough valued its teaching staff and their teaching environment, assuring they had a safe working conditions, no more. So your solution to the technology one-to-one bandwagon is to put our values up for sale. Let's privatize the nighttime cleaning staff you propose. Privatize so that we can have transient employees that may not have been properly background checked in our buildings, beginning around 3 o'clock and working all evening long with our students and community groups, attending the school events, and as other districts have seen, are often transferred from district to district to avoid the required background checks. Privatize so that we will see, as other districts have, an increased theft of school and personal property. Privatize so our services will decline and the school and teaching environments that we have tried so hard to maintain will diminish. Yet our valued, loyal custodial staff, who are so much more than nighttime cleaning staff, take pride in our schools by cleaning, maintaining them, and providing security by questioning unfamiliar people in the buildings. We know that they have gone through all the required background checks. We know that they are long-term employees that have a vested interest in keeping our schools in the best conditions possible. Best of all, they know our needs, they know our staff, and they know our kids. Privatize? I say let's not. Here's your other idea. Let's privatize all the substitutes working in our district so we can have people unfamiliar to the policies and procedures in our buildings. They may be seen one day and then never again. These subs may or may not have had the proper security clearance, background checks, or certifications. This district will lose the ability to control who is in the buildings. Currently, our staff, parents, and administrators know that the subs entering our buildings have the proper credentials and background checks. With this proposal, this district will also lose the ability to remove or discipline ineffective subs, as some other districts have discovered. Privatize? I say let's not. So now it appears our values are for sale, not to the most qualified, not to the most reliable, not to the most reputable, no, to the lowest bidder. The cost to us, the loss of our security and safety. You are putting the safety and security of our community up for sale. Let me repeat that. You are putting the safety and security of our community up for sale. I say, let's not.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Thomas Zobelli, 9 Upper Neshannock Court. I first wanted to just make it known that I did speak out a few years ago, not in favor of privatization of aides. However, tonight I am of a different mindset concerning nighttime janitorial staff and substitute teachers. I am a graduate of Hillsborough High School. I graduated back in 2012. And I first wanted to address, I really don't appreciate, and don't take this the wrong way, everybody, I really don't like all the assumptions that are being made about these so-called privatized workers. They won't do a good job or they won't be effective. I don't think that's fair, because if you don't do a good job, your ass is out. So, excuse my French, but you know, if you do a bad job, you're out. So I don't think that's fair. Also, I think there's a way that we can help to remedy the problem in some form or fashion. I want to find some form of common ground if possible. it would be to possibly give first dibs, if you'd like to call it that, to the company. If we choose to go the privatization route, give first dibs to not only the substitute teachers, but as well as the nighttime janitorial staff. And do I not get an opportunity to speak without the audience? I mean, you know, we have freedom of speech, and I deserve not to be people to mumble under their breath while I'm speaking, please. I didn't do that when you all others were speaking, so please give me that respect. But I think that we can find a solution. It's not going to make everybody happy. I mean, change never does make 100% of the populace happy, but I think there might be some way we can find some common ground there, and I think we should try that route. I mean, I don't know where you guys are in conversation about privatization, but those are just my thoughts, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Habley.
Dan Petrillo, 54 DeWitt Lane. I have two daughters, one going through Orton Road School now, another one to be attending the Hillsborough school system very shortly. I also have a lot of family and friends who are members of the custodial staff and grounds crew here in Hillsborough. Not only are you cutting their jobs, you're cutting the security of our kids. Our kids know these people and love them as friends, and they know us as family. So what I'm asking you to do is please don't privatize. Let them keep their jobs and the security of our kids. Thanks.
Thank you.
My name is Henry Goodhue. I spoke at the last board meeting about the privatization of the custodial staff. I'm a resident of Hillsborough, taxpayer, and a teacher as well. 10 years ago, I was hired as a full-time teacher in Hillsborough. Prior to this, I was employed as a long-term substitute at HES. My tenure as a long-term substitute allowed me to become familiar with the district, and more specifically, a class of students who I was fortunate enough to follow into the next grade when I was hired as their full-time teacher. This experience and familiarity proved invaluable, not only to myself, but for my students as well. Consistency and accountability are the cornerstones of a successful educational experience. Our students are familiar with our current substitutes, which means educational expectations are already in place when the substitute arrives and the learning continues. Privatizing our substitutes, especially our long-term ones, denies Hillsborough the use of a priceless recruitment tool and alters the consistency of our that our students have come to expect. Countless members of the Hillsborough teaching staff began their careers as a substitute. Administrators recognized the potential and talent of these long-term substitutes, and these professionals were made full-time members of the Hillsborough education family. A move to a privatized substitute company, such as Source for Teachers, would bring this practice to an end, and ultimately the students will pay a price. Source for Teachers was established in 2000 with the mission to improve the continuity and quality of classroom experience for students by providing highly skilled substitute personnel. On paper, this mission is one that few would argue, but our students will not be subjected to theory and mission statements. They will face the realities of a company that has existed for 14 years and in that time has found itself at the center of countless controversies. A quick web search of Source for Teachers reveals countless sites that provided ratings and reviews for the company. Parents and teachers wrote the majority of these reviews. The vast majority of these reviews fall within the 1 to 3 star rating out of 5, citing unprofessionalism and poor quality substitutes. A more extensive search into Source for Teachers reveals even more disturbing details. In 2012, the Washington Township Board of Education voted to end its contract with Source for Teachers, stating that they in no way achieved the savings the program was intended to achieve. Following this decision, the district had to spend large sums of money to reestablish an in-house substitute system. Ultimately, the supposed money-saving measure of privatizing the substitutes cost the district more money and subjected the students to a low-quality substitute teaching staff. Beyond the financial realities of Source for Teachers, there exists the realities of their employees in the classroom. In 2013, the Wayne School District contracted with Source for Teachers in an attempt to cut budgetary costs. In that time, a Source for Teachers substitute arrived an hour and a half late and then struck two kindergarten students. Following this incident, the school district has had to deal with an investigation by DCP&P, formerly known as DIFUS. Parents in Wayne also noted that an array of different substitutes rotated in and out of the classrooms, leading to a breakdown in instruction and even students being left unattended. There are many realities that need to be taken into consideration, but the one reality that simply cannot be overlooked is the reality of our students' classroom experiences. Supposed cost-saving measures such as privatization look good on paper, but hardly ever do in reality. The fiscal realities of the economy and our district's budget cannot be denied, but neither can our responsibility to balance these demands against our mission to provide high-quality education experiences for our students. I ask you to look beyond numbers and paper and think about the impact to people, the students specifically. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Donna Griggs. I'm a science teacher here at Hillsborough High School. Like many others, I started as a long-term sub. Just to give you some background, I do not do well. I teach kids without a problem, but I do not do well in this type of setting. So the fact that I'm up here is saying a lot. I'm actually here on behalf of my daughters. I live in Hillsborough. I have two daughters, one in third, one in fifth. They've had 3 long-term subs in their tenure here at Hillsborough, both full year and partial, and I'm truly concerned about privatization. It worries me. You're talking, if it's a full year teacher, they'll be making about $23,400. Can you honestly guarantee that they're going to be vested in my child's quality education? Will they do everything that they need to do to make sure they're planning, conferencing, grading? If they get a better offer and they don't have a contract, are they going to walk out on my child's classroom? And there's no consistency. They're my child's primary teacher while they're there. What happens if, we have to cycle them in and out so that they don't get benefits? On day 19, are you going to take them out and then put them back in? In a full year position, that's about 9 times that there's interruption to instruction, and they're not there with my child as their regular teacher. I know they say that they're certified. Are they certified in New Jersey, or is it one of those scenarios where you go to a tutoring center and they promise that they're all certified teachers, but they have a music teacher tutoring high schoolers in math, and that does happen. Is that going to be the case here? What are their qualifications? So I'm asking that you really reconsider privatization. My daughter is in 6th grade. She'd get a Google Chromebook next year. I would honestly rather a promise from you that we are going to keep our highly qualified teachers over a Chromebook, because they mean nothing without a teacher. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Julie Stotts. I'm the reading teacher at Amsterdam School. And if you're here from Amsterdam, could you stand up? We're here to support our 2 nighttime custodians. Oops. We have Jerry. He's been with us for 8 years. And Helena, who has been with us for 12 years. She is one of our family. So, go ahead.
Hi, Diane Leone, 8 Durham Court in Hillsborough, also a staff member at Amsterdam School. Tonight, I know that there are a lot of questions being asked, and there's a lot of numbers to crunch, and we have to cut a lot from the budget. But I do ask that you reconsider privatization. 28 years ago, I'm dating myself, I was a senior in college, and I wanted to work for Hillsborough. And I was fortunate enough to be hired on a maternity leave for Claudia Slavey at Sunnymead School in 4th grade. So there I was, working so very hard because I wanted to be here. And I proved myself, and because of that, I have the tenure that I have. And there's not one other district I would rather be than here in Hillsborough, and that's where my 3 children, they're here in Hillsborough. I have a junior and I have twins that are in 7th grade. But going back to 28 years ago, I learned something very important. Any pre-service teacher knows this. We're told one important thing when you're in college, and that is to make friends with whom? I swear I didn't prompt them. Why do we want to you must make friends with the custodians, because everything you need at a moment's notice, and they're there for you. Mr. Jerry, our custodian, often calls me second shift, because I'm fortunate enough to live literally around the block from Amsterdam. I'm often there until 9:30 at night. I feel so totally safe because I know the custodians there. They work hard, they support us, but most importantly, they support our children, and we're safe because of them. So please reconsider. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Paige Russo, 921 Case Drive. I'm a teacher at Woods Road School, and I have 4 children. 3 of them are in district. A couple years ago, we all came together to save our instructional aid positions. That struck deep in my heart because my twins at the time were in the Woods Road preschool program, and I was extremely concerned with people with the lack of background coming in to work with our vulnerable 3- and 4-year-old children with special needs. So we all came together a couple years ago, and we really came together on that and saved them on that, and that made me very happy. Now my twins are in TP, which everyone knows how important TP is. It is one of the most important things, if you have the opportunity for it, to put your children in there. And my children have had a long-term sub since the first day of school, and they will end the school year with that same long-term sub. My children have learned, I am so impressed. Mrs. Lopez-Sarkar, she's at HES. She has done a phenomenal job in TP this whole year, and she's a long-term sub. Danielle Gradone did an amazing job. I hate to put you on the spot, dear, but we loved her Google presentation that she did with her class. Long-term sub? I think so. We worked together, and I loved it. I also started out as a long-term sub in the district. We're vested in this. We want to do a good job. This is what we want to do. Our kids are important to us. We want to protect them. The custodians that we work with, I was pregnant 3 times, big out like this. I had the custodians help me. They helped me move boxes. They said, oh, how old are the kids? You know, let me see pictures. They're our family. We're all family here. Our subs live here. They're part of our community. To see them go would be scary, very, very scary. Please do not privatize substitutes and custodians. Please don't. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jim Cox from Woodfern School. I've been the head custodian there for 25 years. I have a lot of fans, as you can see. These are my nighttime custodians, or I like to call them the ladies. Elena and Helena. And just, I depend on them entirely to clean the school at night. They clean the bathrooms, they clean the tops of the desks, they keep it clean and healthy for all the kids. They also make sure all the doors are secured so nobody can get into the building. I really depend on them a lot. Last year I had heart surgery. I was out for over 2.5 months, and they worked like I was still there. I didn't have to worry about it. Anybody at Woodfern School can tell you that. We didn't skip a beat. I'm also the Hillsborough Education Custodial Representative, and I've had a chance to go to a lot of the schools. You've been at Orton Road and here, And every time I walk around, I notice how clean things are. You look at your table there, how nice and neat it looks for the camera. If you watch me as I come down here, I'm going like this. There's no dust. I look under the chairs, there's nothing under the chairs. This room is really clean. The last time we were at the meeting 2 weeks ago, I noticed the drama club was out in the hallway, sitting on the floor, laying on the floor, going over their parts of the play. Why? Because the floor was clean. They trust the people around here. Lawton Road is clean. I've gone to the other schools and I keep looking like, gee, is my school cleaner than that? And it's like, damn it, no, they're good too. Everybody I met in the association is dedicated to the schools. You're not going to get that with anybody who's privatized. You're going to get people, as soon as a kid gets sick at night, they're going to run the other way. They're not going to want to clean the toilets like you want to. All you have to do is go down the parkway somewhere where they privatize the cleaning of the bathrooms in the gas stations, and you don't want that here. I mean, you've had a chance to go to the bathrooms here. They're clean. I can't believe how clean all the schools are. I thought mine was the best, but, well, yeah, I'm about par with everybody. So it would really be a mistake. I mean, if you privatize, it's not going to look like this. And that's all I have to say, so consider that.
Thank you.
I wanted to be able to hold this, and it's not working for me. Good evening. My name is Christy Canopy. I'm at 717 Mill Lane. I wasn't planning to speak tonight, but anybody who knows me well knows that I cannot ever keep my mouth shut, so here I am. I'm a graduate, I'm a resident, I'm a parent, and I'm a former employee here at Hillsborough. Very proud and miss it dearly. But I can tell you that in my new line of work, something I've been doing now for almost 7 years, I've had the unfortunate experience of traveling the state as we deal with privatization issues. And I can tell you that these are not exaggerations. These people that are coming up and speaking to you so eloquently and passionately are really speaking the truth about what's happening with some of the other schools, to some of the other employees, and more importantly, to the other boards of education. This isn't going to win me any kudos from the audience, but I understand your limitations and what you are up against. But I need you to also understand that these decisions actually come back to haunt you. Because as many times as I travel the state making sure that people are not privatized, I spend equal amount of time coming back helping to have boards of education work people back into the fold because of failed privatization experiences. I believe that it was Mr. Goodhue and someone else who had come up here that talked about some of the statistics for Source for Teachers. That is true. There are those types of statistics available on any privatized company. And I understand that this is something that you feel that you need to do because you're left with no other options. I believe that there are always other options out there. As a parent, I echo the sentiments of my former colleagues. I don't need to have a Chromebook in my household. I need to have peace of mind when my children go to school. And these long-term substitutes, several of whom are with both of my girls during the day, are people that I count on and people that I trust. In addition, I have to also maybe just take a little issue with the comment, I believe it was Superintendent Schiff said that the administration has the approval of anyone coming into the classroom. That is only technically true. You might have the approval of a contract of an individual who on paper seems to be the perfect fit. But what everyone else is saying is equally as true. The substitutes that come in, whether they be for the long-term classrooms or for the custodial maintenance, are often revolving doors. And so therefore, you are constantly having to approve new individuals that have to come in. It's the continuity that goes out the window when you privatize. Furthermore, if you are thinking about paying a flat rate per diem for long-term substitutes, may I remind you that they may have continued to kick the can once again for Obamacare and not put any regulations on the number of hours an individual has to work in order to receive benefits. But 2015 is the magic number. So for 2014-2015, you will be paying a flat rate for an individual to be a long-term substitute. But as of 2015, that employer is going to have to offer benefits under Obamacare for these long-term substitutes, and they are not going to absorb the cost savings. The cost savings are going to be absorbed by the districts with whom they have privatized these workers. Furthermore, I'd like to finally bring out in the open the fact that we use the word privatization because it's more palatable. It's a nice word. We say outsourcing, we say privatizing, but we have to speak about reality. And I ask that when you talk about this further, you call it what it is, because what you are doing is you are firing individuals because you are choosing to cost savings elsewhere. So, I respectfully ask that when this board continues to have this discussion, that you use the vernacular that is really truly what's going on. So when you have your budget discussions, please do not say, are we going to privatize? Please ask yourself and each other, are we going to fire individuals? Because that's ultimately what ends up happening. The last point that I would like to make is I'm listening to person after person get up here and talking about the concept of family. I may have left the classroom, but I have never in my heart left the family of Hillsborough. I choose to be here not only with my children, but I choose to be here tonight not because of what I do for a living, but because of what I believe in and the fact that I believe in these individuals. And I believe that Hillsborough will do the right thing. Because you can always take the girl out of Hillsborough, but you will never take Hillsborough out of the girl.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Deveshwar Singh, and I'm here on behalf of Hillsborough High School. I'm currently a senior at Hillsborough High School, and basically what I'd want to say is, like the point Mrs. Griggs brought up, a long-term sub who's getting paid about $24,000 to $30,000, will they really be invested in our child and in the future of our kids? Like, there have been so many anecdotes, so many feelings towards these long-term subs, and I am against the idea of privatization. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brandon Acosta. I live in 251 Hamilton Road East in Hillsborough, New Jersey. I'm currently a senior of 17 years old in Hillsborough High School. First of all, I would like to say that I understand that we are having hard times with our economy, and I urge everybody in this room to understand that. The one-to-one program that many people seem to be citing must understand that this is a New Jersey mandate under New Jersey law, and that our Board of Education is simply is not at fault when it comes to that. The state of New Jersey is the one that has been advocating for the one-to-one program. But furtherwise, I still do have to disagree with this privatization. I'd like to first give a little anecdote. When I first joined Hillsborough High School in 8th grade, I had a substitute by the name of Mr. Parati. Mr. Parati served in the Navy during World War II. And told me all of his stories and about his life living in the 40s and about the era. He inspired me to learn about history and how it affects us. It continued my historical studies on and on until I became so involved in history that I started taking more and more classes of it. He gave me a passion, he gave me a hunger, and he gave me inspiration. This substitute has inspired me, and for that I thank Mr. Parati. And for that I thank any of the other subs who I know have inspired the other students as well. I thank them for that. And for that, I would stand here and I would speak for them. And for that, I think that everybody is here for them. I urge you to make the choice that will help inspire others as well. And as a concerned citizen, I would also like to be informed, what other options are there besides privatization of the custodial staff or the substitute staff? Is there another option? Is there only privatization? I'd like to hear from the board on that issue.
I mean, I would refer you to the presentations that we had with regard to the budget and the strategic initiatives that we have. So one-to-one world languages, STEM, those are programs that we're trying to implement to improve the education for our students. And so it's trying to grow and trying to prioritize and trying to implement the strategic plan in an environment of constraints.
Right, you're telling me about programs that you're going to implement, but are there other programs that we could possibly cut besides cutting the family of Hillsborough High School?
We've gone through a lot. This is a point for public input, not to establish a dialogue. We've presented on the budget, and multiple different scenarios and different considerations have been considered.
I thank the board.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kathleen Lynch. I've been a student here my entire life. I've grown up in Hillsborough, and I see many of my teachers here in the room. They can all tell you how forgetful I am. I've forgotten assignments in probably every class several times a year. The custodians here can tell you how much I've forgotten sweatshirts on the track. I've lost hundreds of them. However, they have all been returned to me. I've lost tank tops and several other pieces of clothing, long sleeves in the winter. They've been thrown in the snow by the track, and somehow they're always returned. I can honestly tell you that through all of elementary school, I would have failed every single class without the custodians. Because I have forgotten so many projects, either on the bus, where the bus driver would hand it to the front office and the custodian would bring it to me. I got to learn the custodians by names in elementary school because they would bring me pieces of clothing, winter jackets, gloves. Oh my God, how many gloves I lost. But in all honesty, I can't see how you can privatize family. Losing these custodians would just be horrible. I would probably lose every single piece of clothing. I would have lost laptops. I would have lost projects. The custodians in elementary school used to know me so well, especially in 4th grade. We had a project every month, and every single month, they would bring it to the exact room. They knew me by name. And when I moved into on road, for the life of me, I could not figure out locker combinations. I tried to keep my locker in my backpack. However, that stopped working, and I had to use my locker. The custodians then also knew me by name because in the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, and right before lunch, they would open up my locker for me. They knew me by heart, and they knew which periods I had, what times I had to go to my locker. They knew everything. I ask you, please, don't privatize these people. I don't want to lose friends and family.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, if this is where the school's heading, I'm really glad that I'm graduating this year.
I would like to thank the board once again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Lisa Demansky, and I'm standing here and thinking about the long time that I've spent in teaching. I started in 1978 on a picket line in Plainfield, and I can't believe I'm almost close to the end of my retirement, and here I am standing before people demonstrating again. I am standing here on behalf of the custodians, the night custodians at Triangle School. We have Locke, who's a very good worker. I think she's been working for 5 years. Nick has been working for about 10 years, and he also is the husband of an Autumn Road teacher, an Italian teacher. But I do want to say that I have remembered from the very beginning teaching here in 1983, we had 200 first graders. Now we have well over 600 first graders. We went through a time when we were going to get a new high school. The custodians have always been there for us, and there was a time that I left Woodfern. I was at Woodfern for many years, and I went over to Autumn Road, and I actually missed Jim so much. It was Jim Cox was the one that was just up here before. He does everything. So I called it Jim withdrawal. But Locke is wonderful, Nick is wonderful at Triangle School, and I please beg you not to do any kind of privatization. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Michelle Eilbacher. I'm first a parent at Triangle School. I'm also the president of the Triangle Home and School Association. As I look around the room, I see a lot of other parent volunteers who are faced with the same situation. We plan a lot of evening events. We come to the school. I don't think twice about it. I know Nick by name. If I forget that I need tables set up, I'll leave a note for Nick, and not only will they be set up, which is not his job, he gets them out, he gets them ready for me. I don't even have to think twice about it. We also make copies at night. Our school is locked down between 3 and 6:30 for Catholic Charities. We now have volunteers that have to come into the school in the evening. I would never think twice about sending in one of my parent volunteers to go set up the bulletin board or make copies. Our copy room is a small storage closet, you know, and it's dark. I mean, I just wouldn't think twice about it. We also have our trailer in the back, and numerous times we pack up at night. I've had to carry stuff out to the back. Nick will see me carrying boxes. He thinks nothing about stopping what he's doing to help me. It's not his job. You know, so just to give you a different perspective on it, I agree with everything else that's been said, but you know, from a parent coming into the school at night, we have our HSA meetings and sometimes they run late. You know, we always feel secure. I was there one night setting up for the vendor fair. We were there at 10 o'clock at night. Not only was Nick still there, he was helping me make signs to get it done faster. So, you know, maybe to get me out quicker, I don't know. So just another perspective to look at. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jill Amastro, and I wasn't even supposed to be here tonight. My daughter was doing a presentation with Miss Gordone's class, and I decided to stay. Sitting here listening to everybody speak, I saw a lot of my Hillsborough Elementary School family over here. I'm honored to have had pretty much all the teachers that are here tonight for my daughters. I have twins that are in 3rd grade and a 4th grader in a Hillsborough Elementary School. I hear a lot of the teachers here talking about how the teachers are a family. And I don't know if all the parents were aware of this in Hillsborough Elementary School, because I know a lot more would have showed up for this cause. We as parents also think of these teachers as family, because when we're not in school, they're the ones who are taking care of our kids. I have felt such love from our school. I have teachers showing up at my daughter's soccer games on their weekends off. I have custodians opening the door for us late at night when we forget backpacks. I have teachers calling us. I'm very fortunate to have these teachers for my girls and their education. Ms. Gordone has come from a substitute, long-term substitute position that I've had friends who've had her in that position that have loved her. I also have known that when I feel safe that Mrs. Iovino, who's a long-term substitute, and Mrs. Finnegan, when my girls come home from school and they say, Mommy, we had Mrs. Finnegan today, or Mommy, Mrs. Iovino was in school today. I know them because they're part of the Hillsborough Township. They're moms, they're friends. I know that they're here for my child's best interest. So they come to the school looking to earn the position of having a full-time job someday in this school district. And you can't ask for more than that because these teachers give back everything to our kids. I ask you to not privatize substitute teachers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Leisha. I have a 2-year-old. This is my first Board of Education meeting. I didn't
Welcome.
really know what to expect. But for me, I have a different topic. I know that you're very busy. You do a lot for the school district. But I just wanted to ask about pre-K, full-day pre-K. I'm sure it's been discussed, and I know that you're working on the budget now, and I know it won't happen overnight. I don't know if there's a way to say, I'm in favor, I'm not, just to see. It sounds like it's not a discussion type thing, I understand. But I just wanted to, since it's more of just me talking to you, it sounds like, just maybe some things to think about as you're doing your budgeting. Again, I know it won't happen overnight, but maybe if you can budget a little bit now, maybe in a couple years, we could have full-day K. I know that some people are against full-day K because it takes away from the time that kids would have to play. Well, maybe you could institute a pre-K a full-day K that involves more play. I know that there are schools that have that. Also, an idea could be, what if you had half-day pre-K and half-day K? Possibly, if you have more of these things, maybe you wouldn't need TP as much, although, as I understand it, I don't think that TP has as big a class as like kindergarten or first grade. I understand that there are costs with more schooling, more classroom space, more teachers' time, but other states have done it, other districts have done it with even just having portables. If you don't have the time and the energy or whatever to build right now, you could have temporary space. And possibly cutting down on fewer buses going back and forth. You might lose money on the cap, I understand that, but it's a good thing for the kids to have full-day K, I think. If you ever needed to brainstorm, I'm here. I have sent you an email, but I didn't hear back. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kristen Hamilton, and I think I might be the newest member of the Hillsborough family that I have loved hearing about this evening. My family and I just moved here 18 months ago, and I have a 4.5-year-old who will start kindergarten in the fall, and I have a daughter who is brand new to Sunnymead School. She's in the 2nd grade this year. So as I reflect back on our decision to move to Hillsborough, one of the big things was what you hear about the Hillsborough school systems, right? It's one of the things that attracts people to this area. And if I had any doubt that my daughter is in amazing hands and that my son will be, I have no doubts anymore after listening to the heart of people here tonight. It almost moved me to tears at one point, honestly. Because as a mother, I've gone through putting one child into school, and many of you, I think, have probably walked that road. But just driving here tonight, I'm thinking about, all right, it's his turn now in about 6 months or so. I'm gonna have to let go again. And I think of, who am I letting him go to? And it's a face, it's a person. It's that person that I am handing my life to, right? My heart is walking around outside of me in the form of those 2 little children. And it's the person they spend their time with that will make or break their school experience. The right person can overcome all other odds and constraints. The right person is why you have students standing here fighting for their teachers. That's a gift. That is such a gift. There are parts of this country you would not get one kid to show up at a Board of Education meeting. And so I'm looking around and I'm like, yeah, this is what I want. This is what I want, because our journey is still ahead. Our years in the district here, our story is yet to be written, and I want to come to the end of it and have the story that these parents had, who are looking back and talking about the kind of experiences that they had with the people in the classrooms, the inspiration, the dedication, and the commitment. I want that desperately. I want to never doubt that we made the right choice coming here. And I believe that the best way to guarantee that is to continue with the type of short and long-term substitute programming that you have in terms of how you staff that, as well as the custodians. I believe that ensures the best potential outcome for a superior education that is your mission to provide for not only my children, but for the children that are going to come even behind them. And so I ask you as a parent who's taken a risk to come and to turn my kids over, that you would ensure that there are the best possible people there. I believe that the best possible people are already here. Let's not lose them. Don't give up on them. Please don't violate the trust we have placed in you. You have some very hard decisions to make. There is not a school board in America. Constraints, that's a nice word. That's a nice word. You have hard decisions to make. You have difficult decisions, long hours, late nights. I truly understand that. But this cannot be the place we compromise. This cannot be the place. Please hold the line and say, not here. We will find another way, because it's not only my story you're writing, it's the legacy that you're writing for yourselves. Don't be the board that made Hillsborough become a privatized district. Please. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dorianne Pelagi. I'm a mother. I was a substitute, and I'm now a part-time worker. I came here unprepared to speak and just to listen, and after following that, I'm not sure that anything I'm going to say is going to matter, but just as a little bit of insight, that you've heard from others, but you might not know yourselves, and so then I can only just flesh it out a little bit more. With my experience substitute teaching, I came across several people, there were several of them here tonight that have had to leave, but several people that come and they substitute strictly for Hillsborough. And the reason that they do that isn't the money. The reason that they do that is because they live here. They have family here. Their children have grown up and gone through the school district here. My children right now are in second grade and fifth grade, and they have quite a road ahead of them. My youngest son has developmental disabilities, so I've also become very knowledgeable and familiar with the special education teachers and their aides, and I know how very important the aides are. I also know as a substitute that when I go into a classroom as an aide, especially into a special education classroom, an autism classroom, or even a high-functioning classroom, in class support classroom, the people that come in there have to be willing to teach. You have to be willing to give it your all. You can't be there and give a kind of, effort. Our children deserve to have that. Our teachers give it to them. I believe that with all my heart. And I was there, and I was giving it to them. And just the way Mrs. Wetzel, I think it was, Mrs. Wetzel said, she has her own child, but her classroom becomes her other children. I can't tell you how quickly that happens. You're with these kids every day. And by the time you leave, like your second week of school, you're like, my kids, my kids, my kids. Stephen and Luke are like, Mom, what kids? What are you talking about? But it's true, because you have to love them to do the work, because the work is hard. And I think that when you have people that are dedicated and connected, not only to the work, but also to the township, then the children, they're just going to blossom, and they're just going to get the most that they can get out of it. And to me, it's the human touch that really pushes our children forward. When they get to high school, they need to know all that other fancy stuff, all the technology and all that other kind of stuff. But when I'm sending my second grader out the door, I'm hoping that the lady who's letting him in her door is just gonna love him and teach him, care for him and push him and make him the best kid that he can be when I'm not around. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carly, and I'm a 7th grader at HMS. Earlier today, I was wearing flats, and I had a huge blister on my foot that came unexpectedly. I was outside practicing a little skit in the hall, and I looked down and I saw my reflection. That's how clean the floors were from the janitors. I decided, well, these people take care of me so much that I feel safe enough to go barefoot, and I did. I practiced the skit barefoot without a problem. The blister wasn't bugging me, and it felt a lot better. Also, whenever I was younger, I went to Triangle School, and in 4th grade, I consistently left homework and folders and projects in the classroom. I felt confident enough going in there knowing that all of the janitors, who knew me very well, were able to let me in. I was able to go in there alone because I knew them and they knew me.
Not totally alone.
Well, yeah, not totally alone, but overall, now I have 2 younger brothers in the school district, and they have the same janitors as I did, and I feel safe, and I feel that they're safe with them. I feel that if there were 2 other janitors, or many other janitors there, I would be really scared because I don't know them as well as I do the other ones that I had. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
That was my daughter. I'm so proud we didn't plan that at all. Okay, I'm Kelly Villano, 87 Meadowbrook, proud teacher at Hillsborough and mother of 3 children in the schools. My only thought, I did not plan to speak tonight either, but my only thought or question that's going through my head right now is I've sat at these board meetings year after year, and every year when it comes budget time, we talk about not going to cap. We talk about making sure that we save the taxpayers' money. I don't have like any kind of masterful vision or whatever, but it just seems like this was bound to happen, that we would get to a point where we would be talking about a growth budget. And sometimes this is what we have to do. Our kids are our investment. These kids are our future. So if we're now talking about raising the tax levy, and I don't really know all the technical stuff because I'm a literacy teacher, raising the tax levy, and it's going to cost my family a little bit more to send my children to school. You're always going to have this question of how much money does it cost, and you're never going to make everybody happy. Somebody else said, you will never make 100% of the people happy. You're right. And even if we never went to cap, even if we did a 1% increase or a 4% increase, it's always going to be too much for someone. So I ask you to seriously consider taking this growth budget, whatever that price might be, and thinking about it being money well spent for your children, for my children, for our children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Lynn Lenchester-Wood, first Vice President of the HEA. And I just wanted to share that Somerville privatized some of their custodians. And they've been coming up with some issues. For instance, they've all had to now lock their refrigerators at 2:30 in the afternoon because food was disappearing. That may seem, inconsequential, but that's pretty interesting that they couldn't trust their privatized custodians. I'm sorry, those people who replaced the people who were fired with their food. Their supplies are disappearing. Their equipment has to be replaced more often. In one building at Somerville High School, I believe they're on their 8th vacuum cleaner. 8th vacuum cleaner. They say they have different people cleaning their building and with their kids every night because these people are cycled in and cycled in. And I thought, just happened last week, a girl in my class was having an allergic reaction and she took off her diamond necklace and she put it on her desk and she went on and they were doing a project and she left, and of course it was the end of the day and I didn't notice it. And the next morning I came in and there sitting on my blotter was the girl's diamond necklace. If they can't trust their food in Somerville to their privatized custodians, I don't think that diamond necklace would have been there. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Natalia Black. I have 2 kids. One is in Norton Road in 5th grade, and one is in preschool at Woodrose. I'm going to talk a little bit about full-day kindergarten and Common Core curriculum mismatch. Common Core curriculum content standard for K-12 has much more rigorous learning goals than it was in the past. It requires more efforts from the teachers, students, and parents. Our kids will have to learn more. This is a good thing. The bad thing is that Common Core curriculum content standards are based on full-day kindergarten. Yet, Hillsborough teachers are expected to cover the same material in less than half the time. Half day in kindergarten is about 2.5 hours, and every day students have specials like art, music, and PE, as well as snack time and school events. Our kids will have about 1.5 hours to learn what's supposed to be learned within 5 hours. Half-day kindergarten does not and will not let kids be adequately prepared to meet the Common Core state standards due to lack of time, and it means that our kids will be behind. The children of Hillsborough School District deserve the same quality of education as their peers across the country. That's why our kids should be enrolled in public school program that meets the needs of all children, as well as New Jersey Common Core curriculum content standards. Good news. Dr. Schiff fully agrees that full-day kindergarten is an extremely valuable option. However, it's not a part of strategic plan, and there is no enough funds for full-day kindergarten. Good thing is that we may have full-day kindergarten one day in 2020 or 2025, but what about today's 5 years old who come to their kindergarten classroom in 2014 and face Common Core requirements that were created for full-day kindergarten? They will have less than 1/2 of time in comparison with their peers across the state. Our findings, actually I have 50 pages of finding, but I will not read all of them. Full-day kindergarten actually saves money. The National Education Association supports full-day kindergarten. The school district could divert funds used to transport kindergartners in the middle of the day to help fund full-day kindergarten. The birth rate was going down in 2005, 2006, and 2007. This may also affect the number of children in the school district. The number of children in the classroom may vary from year to year. My oldest daughter was in the classroom of 12 kids, and she was in the classroom of 28 kids, and she managed to excel in both small classroom and big classroom. If there is no enough time to learn the material due to lack of time, there will be more kids that will be behind, and it will require more teachers for ASI, one-to-one learning, and more kids enrolled on TP. We suggest to evaluate the possibility of increasing the number of students per classroom, calculate the cost of half-day transportation, and see if these funds could be diverted towards full-day kindergarten. Estimate the number of kindergartners for 2014-2015 and compare it with the numbers for previous years. If there are few students, consider this as a factor in favor to full-day kindergarten. See if there are more students going to TP. If there are more children for TP this year, consider that this is indicator of mismatch between Common Core standards and half-day kindergarten. And you can always survey the parents and teachers to see if they prefer full-day kindergarten options in 2014-2015. And I have more materials about full-day kindergarten that I will be glad to send you if you like. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Nora Brinkowski. I've had the privilege of working for the Hillsborough school system and within the Hillsborough family for the past 17 years. 9 years ago, this coming Saturday, my oldest son was born, and I went into labor at work. It was Tyrone Robertson, one of our custodians, who was the last person to wish me well. And as I left the building 9 years ago Saturday, he said to me, "How exciting, a new member of our family." Those are words that never, you know, I was a new-time mom, I was like, what am I doing? You know, and they didn't register 9 years ago, but as I sat tonight and listened, I thought, he's exactly right. My family is an extension of this family, and I am a proud member of both of those. Since my son's birthday is on Saturday, he strategically worked into the dinner conversation last week his birthday list. He would like an iPod, a trampoline, a BMX bike, a football, and a soccer ball. So as any leader of a family or leader of a board, I have tough decisions to make. I can go out and I can get him an iPod, even though I don't have an anything. I can buy him a trampoline, or I can get him a BMX bike. But that will come at the expense of the rest of my family. And that's not a sacrifice that I'm willing to make. Tonight, I think we're encouraging you, as members of our family, an extension of the HEA family and the Hillsborough community, to make some tough choices. And the needs and wants of a few of you cannot come at the expense of the greater good. And I think it's difficult times for everyone. The board has repeatedly asked us to make tough choices, to cut corners, to contribute more, and we have done that. But tonight we advocate for the rest of the members of our family, and we're asking you as strongly and as passionate as we can to step back from your plan, to choose a different course, as all families have to do in tough times, and to take care of our family. Because in the end, it is your family that will see you through the tough times. It is your family who will make you into the person that you become. It is not a Chromebook who will help you become all that you can be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Maria Conrad. 28 years ago, we were moved from California to Hillsborough. Why? Because it was highly recommended to move into this town because of the education. I have 3 daughters. The middle one is a special ed teacher, a self-contained, and I'm doing very well, expecting the 4th child, growing. But in the year 2001, I took the position of being a substitute teacher. I was long-term as well, teaching Spanish and other assignments as well. I got to meet many parents to translate them in the IEPs and so on, which is one is my gardener for now. And yet, I believe that what is happening in this town is being a legacy that is a city on a hill. Let's keep the wisdom of a city on a hill. I go to all the schools roundabout, and I am so elated to know the quality, the labor of love that these teachers have. And when they give me the assignment, I take it seriously to represent them well. So I don't take it lightly to be a substitute for the district. I left it for 5 years because I needed to take care of my grandchildren. And when I came back in December, I was welcome. Everyone, just hugging me and loving me. How do I feel to come to work? Well respected, because I respect each one of you. They take the time. My daughter is a teacher. I consider their labor of love. So let you be having the wisdom revealed to do what you need to do to continue this city on a hill to be spoken as a city that is worth living.
Thank you.
Dana Blevins, representing about 1,100 educational family members. I think our educational family tonight has done their job in trying to educate you, the board, in our feelings and in the tough decisions you have to make for this budget. Some things that were not brought up tonight, dealing with Source for Teachers. We had heard at the March 10th board meeting that Source for Teachers was one of the things we were looking to privatize our substitutes with, and that our daily subs would get the same rate that they get now, which is $90 a day, while the long-term subs would get less. And our concern at that time was, well, if they're getting less, what kind of quality are we going to get? And that's still our concern. But in looking at Source for Teachers, while they tell the district that the teachers will be paid $90 a day or the $130 a day or whatever they tell you, that is not the true case. Because while this Board of Education would have to pay our taxpayer dollars to Source for Teachers for the service of them providing subs, they then also go ahead and they take a finder's fee out of the daily rate of every one of their employees every time they walk through our doors, up to about 20% of that $90 a day they would be paying. So once you take that out and the taxes out, they're receiving nowhere near the $90 a day that our substitutes are. In talking about our nighttime custodians, you saw posters up here of the 35 individuals that would be fired if we chose to go the route of so-called privatization. We saw the years of his service that they had, and I'm not sure if you did the math quickly, but it added up to over 270 years of service to Hillsborough District, represented by those 35 people. 270 years of experience, 270 years of family. In the theme of educating tonight, it was stated that the one-to-one initiative is a state mandate. Just a slight correction on that, I believe PARC is a state mandate. However, many districts across this state are achieving PARC without a one-to-one initiative. And the last I looked, one-to-one initiative was part of a 5-year strategic plan. And while I, like Mrs. Villano, am a literacy teacher, I think we're going into year 4 of that strategic plan, so we still have time to achieve our goals. And as all good educators know, we constantly reevaluate our goals, redirect our goals, and still get to there where we need, but the path we get there changes on a daily basis. We've heard a lot of education tonight about strangers coming into our schools, how the dedication level will go down. We'll see more theft. We'll lose control of who comes into our schools, that we will lose 48% of what our staff is now in trying out potential teachers to welcome into our family in a full-time status. We've learned that, yes, we did just bargain a contract 3 months ago, and this idea of then going back on that contract really makes us question what's the worth of the contract we bargained. We learned that this is not the Hillsborough way. It hasn't been the Hillsborough way, and it shouldn't be the Hillsborough way. We learned that all these people that are going to be fired are important members of our educational family who are dedicated to this school district and this community. The 1,100 members that I stand up here and represent right now, we are proud of our district. We are proud of our community, and we want to keep it that way. The firing of these individuals will not enhance our educational family or the level of education we bring to this community. It will detract from it. I am here to urge you once again, please, tonight, make a motion, take a vote, and take the so-called privatization off the table. We've asked that at the last 2 board meetings. We are here asking it again. I also noticed that on the agenda that we will let you get to very shortly, that there is no mention of a discussion of the budget. Yet at the last meeting, it was stated by many board members that they wanted to have a discussion about the budget so that they could talk about it prior to April 28th when the final vote is taken. I understand that discussions have happened on the committee levels and that discussions have happened at the committee chair levels, but I haven't heard any talk of the whole board being able to discuss the budget and the hard decisions that you are faced with. I don't see how that can be accomplished in one night on April 28th. So while it's not on the agenda tonight, I really hope that that was a mistake and that we will hear a discussion tonight. Because you know what? The community deserves to hear it. Your staff deserves to hear it. And the people you are looking to fire and get rid of definitely deserve to hear it. So again, I please urge you to take a motion, take a vote, and take privatization off the table. And I please urge you, please do your job as a board and have a discussion in public about the budget and your plans and trying to come closer so that we're on April 28th, that we don't have to have that discussion all in one night. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Blevins. Well, thank you for coming out and spending a good portion of the evening. We appreciate the input that we've given. We hear you, and we'll take everything that's been said under consideration. With regard to discussing the budget, there is an opportunity to do that under old business. Okay. Moving on to the action agenda. I'd like to hand it off to Dr. Shipp.
Sure. Can I make a brief statement?
Yes.
Thank you. I would just like to express my appreciation to all of the teachers and the students and the parents who came out tonight to express their thoughts and their opinions. These type of conversations are happening across our state. There are boards after boards that are dealing with these difficult choices. And I ask that you think about 2 things when it comes to these difficult decisions and why New Jersey is consistently having to talk about privatization, raising class sizes, cutting administration, cutting programs. These are conversations that are happening not just in Hillsborough, but across the entire state. 2 reasons I believe that it's happening in our state. One is that we do not have sufficient state funding. Our state funding has remained flat for the past 2 years. In 2009, we actually received $1 million more than what we received this year alone. The second is the increasing cost of health care. Right now, we have to budget for a 15% increase in health care. If health care only went up 5%, 10% less than what we were anticipating, that would be a savings of $1.6 million. We would not be having these type of discussions if our state aid was funded at least 2%, if not more, and healthcare costs were in the single digits. The cost increases were in the single digits. I've spoken with our legislators about it. I've testified in front of an education committee, and we've talked about some of those issues. We're trying to do what we can to try to fix a systemic issue that we're seeing here in the state of New Jersey. Because when you have costs that increase beyond 2%, what's happening in our state becomes unsustainable. This is a larger problem other than the discussion that we've had here tonight. And we need to think about larger issues and trying to resolve them. Or every single year, we'll be sitting in these same auditoriums having the same type of conversations. And that's wrong for public education in the state of New Jersey. That's
Thank you, Dr.
my
Schiff.
brief statement on it.
Appreciate it.
I'd like to ask for the board's consideration of the following motions in the area of education. First, to approve travel and related expenses, to approve the field trip destinations, overnight trips, the IDEA carryover money, and the HIB investigation list.
Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve items A1 through A5 of the action agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? I have a question. For item A1, this is for the professional travel-related expenses. I noticed that there was there was a travel for ITSE conference. I believe that that's at least the third person who will be attending that conference.
Yes, we were chosen to speak at that conference, the three of us.
Okay. All right. It's just usually when we do, conferences, it's. I understand that the three of you have been presented or have been invited to speak. Those are significant costs. And I was just wanted to make sure that there was a legitimate reason for sending so many people. Okay. Any other discussion for items A for the action agenda for education? Okay. Roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Surely. Ms. Bogoshevsky? Okay. Ms. Santafonte?
Yes.
Mr. Dutta?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
Mrs. Haley?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
Ms. Wasson?
Yes.
And Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Motion passes.
I ask for the board's consideration of the following motions that I make under the area of human resources, to approve the resignation as listed, to approve the retirement as listed. James Colangelo has worked in the district since 1980, and we express our appreciation for all of his wonderful service over the years. To approve the revised leaves of absences, revised long-term substitutes, approve the leaves of absences as listed, and approve the appointments of an interim assistant superintendent for personnel, long-term subs, personal nurse aide, lunch aides, substitutes, revised extra period coverage, substitute teachers.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve items B1 through B7.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. That was already. Discussion. Mr. Gillette.
Yes. I need to vote differently on B 5.1, so can we separate that?
Separate out 5.1. Okay. Mrs. Bogoshevsky? Same thing. Okay. All right. Any other discussion? Okay, we'll separate that out. All right, so this is for items B1 through B7, excluding B5.1. Okay. Roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Surely. Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Santafonte?
Yes.
Mr. Dutta?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas? Yes. Mrs. Haley?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
Ms. Wasson?
Yes.
And Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve item B5.1.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Yep. Discussion. Mrs. Haley. Oh.
Whoa.
Oh, hey. Okay. Mrs. Bogoshevsky. We'll do it alphabetical order.
Well, after reading over this pretty much all weekend and trying to figure out with our budget and with being over 1.3 million, and I feel like now is a time for crunch time, and I realized that Mr. Whitlock will be gone for the most 31 days. And if we could just delegate his position and try and figure something out instead of hiring someone, we would save $16,798.90. And I feel that that money can go towards everything else that our teachers and everyone else wants towards our district. Like I said, it's just 30 31 days. If we can diet for 31 days, we could save this money.
Mr. Gillette?
I wouldn't go so far as Mrs. Boguszewski. I thought maybe we could try to find somebody for $135 a day, possibly.
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Mrs.
It's
Haley?
late. I have voted no on almost every administrative hire in this district. I will continue to do so. No personal offense to Mr. Whitlock, I voted no on hiring him. So I will not be voting yes to approve an interim assistant superintendent for him either. Thank you.
Tom?
Mr. Pulsifer?
I understand people's concerns about the money and everything else, but this is a critical time of year as we wind down the end of the year with the evaluation process and everything else that's going on. And I think it would be negligent, maybe a little too strong a word, but there's a lot of work that needs to be done. There is nobody there to do that work. There is a reason that we have a person in that position. There is work that needs to be done by the person in that position. The people in the other positions as senior administrators have more than enough work to do already themselves. And this is between 4 to 6 weeks, depending on how recovery goes. This is a time of year where we cannot afford to not have somebody qualified in that position. The number is, as we had discussed earlier this year, about setting a rate that was below, instead of paying per diem based on the individual contracts, this is actually 90%, as we agreed as a board that was the way we should proceed on that. I think this is something we need to do in this first year of this new evaluation process and everything else that's going on as we wind down the year. It's absolutely critical that we have somebody in that position.
Thank you, Mr. Pulsifer. Any other? Mr. Dunn?
Yeah, I hear what Mr. Pulsifer is saying, but at the same time, though, I mean, if it is critical to do all the evaluation and other stuff, you don't really want to do that with a hired resource, right? So I do feel that in this time of budget crunch, this is something that we should try to avoid. It's kind of a
Thank you,
cost.
Mr. Dunn. Any other discussion? Mrs. Haas?
With all due respect to the person in position, I really feel strongly that when we're taking a look at our surpluses and wondering where they went, part of the problem surpluses disappear is when you hire or have on payroll 2 people doing the same job, and in some cases 2 people getting benefits for doing the same job. And the salaries for interim personnel, I don't believe are necessary to be in the $541 area. I think that there are plenty of people out there who have either retired and would be willing to come back because they're already collecting a pension and health benefits for a lot less money. And with all due respect to the issue of evaluations, yes, evaluations are important. Yes, this is not a 2-person shop, okay? We have a large administrative staff here. I know everybody's very, very busy on a daily basis, et cetera, but if evaluations are the priority, then somebody needs to step up and do them.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Tom, please.
Yes, Mr. Pulsifer.
I may be wrong here, and Jordan, you can correct me. This is not entirely an issue of just finding somebody else to do this. There are people who cannot be evaluated by any but a very small number of people, of which Guy is one. So it's not like we can just grab somebody out of the administrative office and say, here, go do some evaluations for us because Guy's not here, so somebody else fill in. There are requirements that need to be met, and that's why we have that position. It's not as simple as saying, just find somebody else and have them put away some other task and do this task, because a lot of what needs to be done there requires someone of that position and that certification to be in the position of doing the evaluations and that other work. Right. Dr. Schiff, you please correct me if I'm wrong with that, but I believe that's part of our problem here.
Mr. Whitlock does some teacher observations and evaluations, but the Assistant Superintendent for Personnel is also involved in all of the tenure decisions, the renewal decisions as well, issues of discipline, and also he's involved with grievance handling as well. That's that gives you a sense, but it's certainly not fully comprehensive. We wouldn't be requesting it unless it would cause a hardship to have an assistant superintendent out for 6 weeks.
So just remind this is for evaluation of both staff and supervisors or administration. It's a requirement. Just the teachers. Okay, so he's performs teacher evaluations for teachers. It's a mandated thing. Performance of teachers are part of that evaluation. And I just want to remind folks that for our duty, it's to make sure that the district is run well. And this is the recommendation of the superintendent.
We also just had a DAC committee meeting, which is the district level evaluation advisory committee, which Mr. Whitlock heads. I know that there are concerns about the software and some issues with the teacher evaluation model. This is the first year, and we all know this, we're putting it together. Under regular circumstances, this stresses our administrative team. And of course, Mr. Whitlock plays a major leadership role in it. And again, it's 4 to 6 weeks.
Thank you, Dr. Schiff. Dr. Hassan.
I fully agree with what Mrs. Haas said previously about being able to find more affordable professionals who could do a fill-in job. I think, just given the numbers of people who have talked up here, this is a losing proposition. And I'm wondering if there is maybe not a happy medium, because I'm giving up on making people happy tonight, but perhaps something where we can determine a number of days that would satisfy the requirements of the administration, but at the same time give us some budget relief. I think we all have to be mindful of the fact that we're talking about firing people in reality, and though none of us want to do that, we need to be very mindful of the way we spend every dollar. So I would ask if there is a limit to the number of days or a reduction in the per diem, or a combination of both. Thank you.
We could try to work things out if we looked at a 4-day-a-week or a 3-day-a-week option, at least if we were able to bring in someone with technical expertise in this area. It would be very helpful.
So would you want to amendment, or you want to move it to the 28th?
Yeah, I would have to be.
I'm just asking Dr. Schiff right now if he'd prefer to have amendment to the motion, or to help, or if this could be tabled to the 28th meeting, and then an updated resolution could be, or an updated motion could be provided.
Then you're going to start paying retro.
Would the board consider an interim not to exceed, I mean, if we did 4 days period during a 6-week period, not to exceed, that would be, I think, 24 days. I mean, is that a reasonable compromise?
No.
Not to exceed it?
Not for me.
Not for you. Okay.
But if the majority of the board is there.
Yep. Okay, so.
Who made the motion? Motion was made by Chris, and Lorraine seconded.
Okay. Chris, would you consider amending your motion?
I haven't heard an agreeable motion out there from anybody. I mean, the one I heard got an immediate no. So I'm not sure what we consider.
From one board member.
Okay, but I heard one no and no yeses. So that's 1-0 in my book. All right, what was the suggestion, was 4 days a week?
4 days a week.
For the 6 weeks?
For the 6, or up to 6 weeks.
Up to 6 weeks based on the recovery period.
Yep.
I'll amend as spoken.
Okay. Do I have a second? Okay, I'll second it.
We're losing a week, right?
What's that?
We're saving 1 week.
2,500, 3,000.
So the motion is 4 days a week, up to 6 weeks.
And would they get paid the same amount?
Same, the rate would be the same, which is 90% of the position which would be replaced. Okay? Roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Surely. Ms. Bogoshevsky?
No.
Okay. Ms. Santafonte?
No.
Okay. Mr. Dutta?
No.
Okay. Mr. Gillette?
No.
Okay. Mrs. Haas?
No.
Okay. Mrs. Haley?
No.
Okay. Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Soisson?
No.
Okay. And Mr. Kent?
Yes.
Motion fails.
Okay. Continuing on with the action agenda?
Yep. I ask for the board's consideration of the following motions under the area of operations: to approve the revised bylaws as listed, and to approve the student transportation renewals for 14-15 school year,
I'd like to.
including, I'm sorry, let me just
Yeah,
continue on. Approve Valchek student transportation renewals, as well as Kingston student transportation renewals, and approves First student transportation renewals.
It's all the different.
And to accept the donations from the Craig Tool Company as listed. That's all I have.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve items C1 through C6 of the action agenda.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Mr. Gillette?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I guess this might be a good time to mention something about the bus route, since at least one speaker at the microphone today talked about privatization of the bus routes. Starting in September, we did not do any additional privatization of bus routes. I want to make that clear. And also, we did not hire any companies that were new or foreign to the district. These were all companies that we had used before, and with the same level of privatization. All we did was we changed the start and end times of one school, Dr. Trabolsky's school, I see him in the audience over there, the middle school, and that allowed us to change the timing of the way the buses ran. If there were any little not little, I wouldn't say that, but if there were any problems at the start of the school year, some this year were more serious than other years, but those problems can happen any year to any of the bus companies. They were an anomaly, and I felt very bad about the problems that we did have in the first, I would say, 2 or 3 days of this year. But we resolved them exactly the way they're supposed to be resolved. One contract was canceled, and disciplinary measures were taken against, I think, another bus company, or warnings were given to another bus company, and those problems were remedied immediately. So I just wanted to state that for the record, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gillette. Any other discussion? I'd like to acknowledge and thank the Craig Tool Company for their considerable donation, which will be directed towards the high school applied technology programs and classes. Okay. Roll call, please, Mr. Mahmood.
Sure. Ms. Bogoshevsky?
Oh, wait.
I just had a question, very
Okay, sorry.
quickly.
I missed it.
We're reviewing all of these policies, and looking at the dates, we have on there that when some of them were altered and voted on. I'm wondering, I noticed no changes on the first reading, no changes on the second reading, which is great, meaning they still apply. But my question is, will there be on the bottom a reviewed and approved date suggesting whenever we finalize them, or are those dates only added when there's changes made? Because I think it would be useful to actually say that we approve them that we reevaluate and review them every so often, and actually publish that every time we do it.
The review dates will be listed after the second reading is approved.
Yeah,
Thank you.
So when the board approves it, whether there's changes or just a reapproval, there's a revision date on there.
Was that always the policy?
Yep.
So these
Some of them haven't been reviewed since 1993. That's correct. Yep.
That's why, Lorraine, from governance, that's why I've asked time and time again for the board to take some time and review the policies piece by piece as they can, because, yeah, a lot of these have not been reviewed for many, many years.
Right. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. All right, sorry. Continue, is this?
Yeah, we're continuing.
Okay. Returning back to the voting.
Yep.
Thanks.
Ms. Santafonte?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Dutta?
Yes.
Mr. Gillette?
Yes.
Mrs. Haas?
Yes.
Mrs. Haley?
Yes.
Mr. Pulsifer?
Yes.
Ms. Wasson?
Yes.
And Mr. Kint?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Motion passes. Okay. Old business for the board.
Right here.
Mrs. Haley.
So I am disappointed that we're not talking about the budget tonight. We knew that we were going to have all these people showing up tonight, and we're not talking about it, and I just find that to be crazy.
Now is the perfect time to do so.
So I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to talk about what at least my values are and what my expectations are. So I know that I specifically on more than one occasion have asked for a proposal about cutting administrative positions. To my knowledge, and in the committee that I sit on, that, you know, we had our meeting and we talked about the budget, that wasn't an option. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, you know, I appreciate the fact that our administrative staff is doing more work, and I appreciate the fact that we have a low per administrative cost. However, the taxpayers that we're going to hit with a big bill, those people in the private industry, I know I've been doing the job of 2 and 3 people with little increase, with, you know, a lot more responsibility. So not going to get a lot of sympathy from a lot of people at home. But to me, the choice, again, is becoming computers versus people. And why we refuse to scale back on the rollout of the one-on-one is beyond me. But we've engaged the public and we've sold this idea to the community to such a point that the expectation is now there. And I feel that we, as a board or administration, should have not had that kind of aggressive discussion with the public about one-to-one, we're going to have one-to-one, until we're done with the budget. That just doesn't seem logical to me. And, you know, aside from the fact that we're going over a 2% cap, I just wanted to at least state, because I know Mrs. Villano brought it up, that we've never gone to cap. We should be thankful that we never went to cap. You know why? Because we have bank cap now. If we didn't have the bank cap sitting there, the horrible budgets that we're presenting to the public would be even worse, because we're dipping into the bank cap just to try to make it happen right now, and we still have privatization on the table. And I hate to embarrass someone that's sitting in the audience tonight, but my mom happens to be sitting in the audience. And my mom, for many years, because of my family circumstance, was a substitute teacher and was a long-term substitute teacher. So to me, that's just not collateral damage, because now she's a full-time teacher in her district and has been for many, many years. So I personally look at that option as not acceptable, because you know what? At the end of the day, we weren't saving that much money, and we are hurting the kids in the classroom, period. You're not gonna sell me any other way. And, you know, I said this a couple weeks ago, I said this tonight, and I'll say it on the 28th, but you can count on me not to vote yes when it comes to privatization of either the custodial staff or the long-term substitutes. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Haley. Mr. Gillette.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, we had at least a couple of members in the audience come up tonight, Mrs. Canopy and I guess Mrs. DeCenzo, maybe? Did I pronounce that right? Sue DeCenzo, yeah. Who made a statement that, you know, please, you know, don't go down the path of privatization. We'd rather not have the Chromebooks for our classrooms. And that got a lot of applause both times that was mentioned. Yet, we did receive a memo from two of our administrators that discussed various proposals for the one-to-one initiative that said, one of the statements in it, was repeated a couple times, was that if we didn't do the one-to-one rollout this year, the teachers would never trust us again. So I'd like to know what is it? Do they want to have this as a high priority, or if we don't do it, will they never trust us again? It doesn't have to answer tonight, but administrators can think about getting an answer for us.
Any other discussion?
I just want to say, I mean, I think every one of us, whether we've talked publicly or not, every one of us is trying to figure out the best way to balance this budget. Every one of us is trying to figure out how to move things forward, but yet make sure that we listen to the public and do what's right. And it's not an easy task, but I can assure you that we are all talking and we are trying to figure out the best way to move forward. It's not easy to discuss things up here when we're still trying to figure out what our options are and what questions we can keep asking. But we are talking, and it's not just committee, it's constantly looking at this binder that we're handed and looking at line items asking, is there another way? So we appreciate everyone's input. We've had a ton of input. People come up to me all the time and say, is there money for this? Is there money for that? I'd like to be able to say yes to everything. It's hard. So if people have suggestions, then please, you have to tell us. I mean, we want them, and we hear that people don't want to privatize. We hear that. We are just trying to figure out how to move forward, how quickly to move forward, and what's best for the town. So I feel that we are really trying hard to communicate with each other and to listen to everyone to do what's right for Hillsborough right now.
Thank you, Mrs. Santafonte. Dr. Sun.
Dina's right that we all are trying to balance the budget, but we all have different values, and I think that makes it tough when we talk in committee and people have different priorities. I agree with Jen and all of the community here tonight that privatization should be looked at as a last resort. That being said, I think we have some options to look at that would not involve privatization. And one thing I asked in the Education Committee, and I'll say it publicly here, is the one-to-one initiative has several new staff members, some of whom are new computer teachers at Otten Road School. And from what I saw tonight with that third grade class presenting PowerPoints, and I was asked what exactly is the curriculum in the fifth grade computer classes. Well, it's how to do a PowerPoint the right way. They're learning that in elementary school. Why are we bringing in new teachers to teach something that might be helpful for the kids who have it early in the school year, because now all of a sudden they're going from an Nexus 7 to a Chromebook, even though the apps are very similar. And instead of considering not hiring new staff and not doing privatization, because I think if we looked at those sort of issues, again, those staff are not $300,000 for the that we're talking about in teachers. But if you look at it in combination with other things, I think we could reach an agreement on the budget for the current, using the current tax levy, not going back down to 2%, which I know Mrs. Haley has suggested that we do several times, but doing that without going to privatization, which is what I think we really need to look at other places to cut. I also should say publicly that I would like to go fully to one-to-one next year, because if we delay a year, we're delaying it forever. This is never going to get any easier. And there is an expectation on the part of the public I've talked to numerous kids who have been part of it, kids who have not been part of it. There is a difference there. We're seeing, you know, we haven't seen yet a difference in test scores, but I don't think that's the whole story. I have a nephew who's in college at Penn State, walked into a class the size of this room, and he brought his laptop and was taking notes and everything. That is the way college is these days. This paper does not enter a classroom. And he said half of the class had laptops, half of them didn't. About a quarter of the class was not there the next day. And he attributed a lot of it to the fact that these kids had no idea of what they were doing. They were not prepared for that level of class. We cannot do that to our kids. We need to go to the century that they're in, which is, you know, technology driven. We can do it affordably without privatization. I do believe that. And I am interested in hearing more ideas of where we can cut to achieve both the goals of the strategic plan and the goal not to have to go to privatization with either the custodians or the teachers. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Sasson. Mrs. Haas.
I know it's late, so I won't be too terribly long. The bottom line is, I think I've been very clear throughout the years that I'm against privatization. There's no budget with privatization that I will ever vote for. So if anybody wants to do a poll, you could mark one in that column. 3 years ago, when this privatization of AIDS came up, I was against that as well. And I don't think, for all the reasons that were cited tonight, that I would ever support privatization. However, what I would also like to say is that it should not come down in a $115 million budget to a choice between privatization or technology. I think one we seriously don't need. The other may not be everybody's highest priorities, but a couple of weeks ago, when we had Technology Day in the district, there were many, many teachers who were saying they don't know how they could ever teach without them again. The ones who have been involved in the pilot project. It has been a very, very, very beneficial opportunity for the people who've been involved in it. And we talk about STEM. We talk about getting our kids prepared for the jobs of the future. This is one way to accomplish that. And among all of the priorities, this is a very, very diverse school district. We try to provide opportunities for every single interest and every single kid. And God bless them, they have a lot of interests and they have a lot of clubs and they have a lot of extracurricular activities. And we provide all these electives for them in the high school so that everybody could reach their maximum potential. And Chromebooks, I mean, if we would have done this 5 years ago, those things would have cost 5 times as much as they do now. We've also seemed to have forgotten that we got 3,700 free devices from Nexus, which is being provided to all of our elementary school kids. So we could have been buying technology for a lot more kids than our current plan provides for. The difference between from the numbers I have received, the difference between full implementation and partial implementation is a range of $200,000. I would never sneeze at $200,000, but somehow in a $115 million budget for a district that's committed to STEM, that's committed to our kids, that wants our kids to be prepared for their future, I think it's a worthwhile investment. And I think what we need to do is put everything back on the table. We haven't talked about many administrative areas. We've had savings in the past in transportation. There might be other administrative areas in which we could save. Not necessarily personnel, because we are one of the lowest personnel in the administrative areas. But I really think that we need to look at everything in the budget and not put technology versus privatization as a the decision for this budget process. There always seems to be a habit in Hillsborough where people latch on to one or two things each year. You know, sometimes it's a particular class and sometimes it's, you know, some other initiative. We need to stop doing that. We need to see what in the budget we could do better for $200,000 less that would, you know, allow the priorities of our strategic plan to take place. But privatization clearly is not one of them. And I'd really like to thank the kids who came out here tonight, including Mr. Zobeli and the kid who was in the back who said, you know, what would be on the table. And my answer to him is $115 million of stuff should be on the table. So that's it for me.
Thank you, Mrs. Haas. Just to remind folks what we're talking about, at least with the tentative budget, it is a increase of $3 million, which represents a 2.79% increase. Of that, there's an increase of $3.5 million to the local levy, which is a 4.32% increase. I wasn't at the board meeting last meeting, but the meeting before I talked about what my values and priorities were. I'm most concerned about the sustainability for a lot of these large initiatives. So we're paying for full implementation through a 4-year lease. So while we are increasing it for this coming year and everything balances, I'm concerned about the cost pressures that we have that are exceeding the rates of what the cap is. And so my concern isn't necessarily so much for this year, which we can balance. We can, as a board, we could choose to use all the tools that are available to us and increase this even higher. The concern that I have is if we were to do that and then we needed to sustain and have additional costs, that the price for that would be much more painful. And at that point, we've already committed on certain things, and what I'm concerned about is then it goes towards staff, which then impacts students and the kids. So that's what I'm most worried about is, you know, if you've got a family and you're spending more, you know that you're going to end up spending more than what your family is going to be taking in, and you have a savings account, and you pull in half of that or more than half of that, you don't have that much for the following years. And so that's what I'm concerned about is I want to make sure that we're fiscally responsible, not only with the budget for this year, but for the years following, so that we don't find ourselves in a situation where we did a number of years ago where we had to make substantial cuts when there was a reduction in the amount of spend or the amount of tax revenues that were available. With regard to implementation of one-to-one, I've been consistent throughout that it's part of the plan. The amount of time that it takes to implement that, that's the question that I've raised. So moving forward, we're going to continue working on this through committees. Myself as the president, I'm going to be herding these cats, trying to find a solution that would be amenable to the majority of the board. And that's what it takes to pass a budget. And it's our commitment to do so, because if we don't and we abdicate that role, then it goes to the county, which I know that I myself, and I'm sure everybody on this board, does not want to do. So we've got our tasks set out for the next 3 weeks, and our goal is to have a final budget that we can present and garner enough support from the board, and then also continue the conversation with you, the public. Thanks. Any other discussion with regard to old business from the board? Okay, well, old business from the public, or another opportunity for public comment. Mr. Zabeli.
I'll make this very, very, very quick, because we've all been here it's been a long, long evening, so I'll just make it quick.
Speak to the mic. You're behind the podium.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Who gets up to do it? Thank you. Well, I just wanted to say that I understand I'm not tech savvy, so just putting that out there. And I'm 20, so I should be, but I'm not. Okay. I agree that, you know, in the 21st century, there is a need for technology and all that kind of thing, but I'm 20 and I made it through my elementary years without having to use a iPad or whatever the hell, I don't know what you guys are using. I made it okay using pen and pencil and paper. Again, I know that you know, times have changed and, you know, but I just want to point out that, you know, I don't think we necessarily need to move in that direction. I also wanted to mention I do not support full-day pre-K. I think it's a bad idea. I feel it is like babysitting, and I don't agree with it. I also am concerned with Common Core. I think it's just like No Child Left Behind, which was passed 2002, 2003, somewhere in that realm. I forget the exact year. But that was a disaster. Common Core is a disaster, having the federal government, basically the top tier, deciding how to best to put one-size-fits-all shoe when all students aren't the same. You have to consider geography and all these other things. So I think it's a really terrible idea. I don't know what the board can do to try and stop Common Core, but I'm just voicing my concern that I think Common Core is an absolutely horrendous idea. I think testing should be a part of it, but I think that should be decided on the local level, because the local level knows how to best serve its citizens. You don't delegate power to an all-powerful, mighty government 2,000 some odd miles away that doesn't know the needs of the students and teachers in the local area. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, and actually, before I go, is there any comment on specifically on Common Core or on the technologies?
We've spoke about the technology and the strategic plan with regard to the budget. With regard to Common Core, I think each of us have our own personal opinions, but it is the law of the state. So the standards have been adopted by the state, and that's state mandate.
Okay, thank you.
We're obligated to make sure that we can fulfill that to the best of our ability.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say I appreciate the open discourse and discussion that occurred tonight. It shed a lot of light on the things that are going on and many of the questions that many of us have as taxpayers, you know, parents and teachers. In closing, I mean, at least for me tonight, I would ask that you consider the value of technology and consider that technology tends to become obsolete very quickly. There's a reason that cell phone contracts are up in 2 years. It's because there's a better one out there and you need to buy it. So not that this would necessarily happen, but technology is obsolete within 2 to 3 years. The people that we're discussing never will be. These are people who, as Mr. Blevins pointed out, put in over 200 years of dedication to this district. That is not something that we can lose. That is not something that will ever become obsolete. So I ask you to consider that and weigh that against the ideas of technology and all the other things that are on the table. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I just popped into my head. I forgot to mention it in my earlier remarks, but one thing concerning, I know I was the only voice tonight to actually support any form of privatization. However, I forgot to mention that I really do believe that it's extremely important, extremely important that we need to vet whatever company, if we go that route, we need to, I mean, that's in, you know, that's a concern that I forgot to mention, but you know, I don't know what the vetting process is, but that is extremely important, very important. Any comment from the board on that?
No, that would be understood. We've shared that value to make sure that whatever company that is used, whether it's for this or for the contracts that we have currently, that we continue to vet and make sure that they perform to the standards that we set.
Now, is there any other company that's being considered other than the one that was discussed by several speakers tonight for the privatization?
There's a bidding process, and so that there's proposals. It goes to open bid.
Do
So
we know how many are seeking a bid for it?
I can't state for that specifically because I don't know.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick clarification, Christy Canopy, 717 Mill Lane. Two things. First of all, I wasn't sure, I was a little confused because I only caught Mr. Gillette's comment as a by the way. Mr. Gillette, was there something that you needed me to clarify about my statement, or were you just making reference to some of the comments that I had made?
No, I caught it, the whole thing.
Okay, because I wanted to be clear that I wasn't trying to suggest, as Mrs. Haas had pointed out, that this is boiling down to either a privatization or a technology or one-to-one initiative. I think it's a for instance. But I also came up here for a question. As you are looking at the budget, and I understand that you do so through each of your committees and come back and bring your input, do you use any sort of outside resources other than your business administrator, with all due respect, to help you analyze those numbers and help you come up with ways in which you can find hidden cost savings?
Hidden? Hidden? Well, let me speak.
Sure.
Well, I'll speak as the chair of the operations committee. Mr. Mahmood, Mr. Eckert, and their entire staff, including our purchasing assistant, I think I'll mention her because she also often has, Mrs. Martello, she often has some interesting cost-saving ideas along with Mr. Mahmood and Mr. Eckert, and we value their opinions. Also, I'd say Dr. Schiff and the entire administrative team work tirelessly to come up with new ideas for cost saving. So I think we haven't used anybody outside, but I'm completely confident in their abilities of the people that we have right now.
I appreciate your answer, and I certainly want to go on record as indicating that I'm not questioning the qualifications of the individuals who are doing the analysis. What I'm suggesting is that sometimes in other districts there have been a successful approach by using, and I know this is ironic, using some sort of outsourced source in order to look at a budget to be able to help you find things that you don't normally see. And it doesn't come as any sort of great expense. What it does is help you analyze the budgets point by point in order to go ahead and find those hidden cost savings so that you're not constantly having debates about either pet projects or personnel, things that may seem or fly under the radar.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
I thank you.
All right. Seeing no other public comment, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions?
Motion passed.